July 15th, about 12:48. This is the Montecito Board of Architectural Review consent calendar. Item number C1 is 515 Santa Angela Lane. Brett, please let me lead. So Claire, have you had a chance to review this?
Yes, I did. I did review it.
And
Yes.
do you have any comments about it?
No, no, I don't actually.
Neither do I. Brett, thank you so much for making those revisions. This is a very nice project. Claire and I will recommend approval at the full meeting in about 20 minutes, half an hour or something if you want to stay on. Otherwise, there's no need. Whatever you want. Okay.
Thank you. I will tune out right now. And again, thanks all of you for your hard work and thanks for the good recommendations, John.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, item C2, 190 Miramar Avenue.
Yes, and I've looked at this one too.
Is the applicant online for that? Please unmute yourself if you're here. Item 190 Miramar Avenue, Matthews Edition. Any applicant? Okay, let's hold on that and let's go now down to C4 is being dropped. Is that correct? Claire? Excuse me, Sharon?
Yes,
Okay, do you need a motion for that?
yes, no, well, what do you mean?
To drop an item from the consent calendar?
Oh, we'll just do that when we do when we go over it.
Okay, so item C4 is being
you.
dropped. So we're on item C3. Excuse me for jumping around. I'm trying to keep things moving as fast as possible.
Thank you.
1510 San Leandro Lane. Is the applicant Brian? I see you there. Is there anybody else? From
Yeah,
your-
we've got Anthony
Anthony?
Greenline, architect, and Ryan
Anthony from
Lee.
Harrison to that.
Okay, again, let me take the lead here a little bit to try to keep it moving. Claire, did you have a chance to review these drawings, please? C3.
Partially. I reviewed the landscape parts of it, but I did not look at the architectural parts of the drawings.
And from a landscape point of view, do you believe that
Let me turn my phone on. From a landscaping point of view, I'm fine with the project. You know.
okay, so I would like to talk about this pool enclosure.
The pool enclosure,
It's shown on the site plan,
right?
but there's an ADU plan, which we do not review, but it is, the enclosure is attached to the ADU, and it does not show up in plan on those drawings.
Oh, got it.
And there's no call out that I could find that it'd be a 6-foot CMU wall or any kind of a detail for that. And I would like to hear the Anthony address,
Sure.
please.
No
Perhaps
problem.
when-
Actually, if you can, yep. So if you can
Here-
zoom
oh,
in,
I
this
see
is
it.
the right,
There it is, yeah.
yeah, zoom into the, the call out on that detail there. It's in combination in terms of the placements. There's that call out, which is the 6-foot tall CMU wall. And then
That's good enough. Thank you. And the
Okay.
perimeter wall, I never saw a 6-foot call out on the San Leandro. I saw San Leandro, maybe. I did not see San Isidro call out on the height of the wall. Do you have that?
I'm trying.
On sheet, page 5, that has, there you go. If you zoom in on that, the one that has the pedestrian gate, that's the San Leandro wall on the left-hand side of that. Oh, sorry, Dave. On
on the left?
elevation, the lower one, which is the pedestrian wall, that's the wall along San Leandro.
Okay, no, it's got to be along San Isidro is the one that I'm concerned about.
Oh, sorry.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, if I misspoke, I misspoke. I'm sorry.
No problem. We'll find it.
And if not, we just need to know that so that we can get it properly accounted for, please.
So what you're asking, what you're saying is that there's no call out for the height of what that height of that wall is, which is supposed to be 6 feet. Or below. Maximum
yeah.
of 6 feet.
And it's a long wall, so I want to make sure we get that right.
Well, long, not so long as San Ysidro. San Leandro wall is shorter, but
So Anthony, do you have it called out anywhere?
I'm trying to find it right now. And I just off the top, I'm trying to flip through the set right now off to the side.
Okay,
And just see if we do. And if we don't, could that just be made part of the note in it? And obviously
Yes,
we
it
can't
will.
mark it up here. Okay,
Yeah,
we will.
let's just assume that. I think it's somewhere, but I can't find it off the top. So for the
Okay.
San Ysidro.
so
Okay.
Claire, with the inclusion of a new note saying the maximum height of the wall along San Ysidro is 6 feet, are you prepared to recommend approval at the full board?
yes.
And so am I.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you. If you guys want to hear that motion, it'll be 15 minutes, half an hour, something like that. We have other business to take
Yeah,
care of.
I'll stick.
Great.
Thank you all. I'll stick on and we'll add it to the exhibit where we had chosen option 1. I think that's the clearest one since that shows that stretch along San Ysidro. We'll make that note.
And I agree. I think it should be on the drawing. So Brian, that's all.
That's fine. We'll do that, John.
Yep. Sounds
Okay.
good.
Item
Great, thank
C2.
you.
Yeah, thank you now. Have a
I
nice
haven't
afternoon.
done C2 yet. Okay.
Item C2, we skipped over you because nobody was there. Matthew Edition 190 Miramar Avenue, please. Anybody here?
Yes, I am here.
Aha, okay. Claire, have you had a chance to review these drawings?
Yes.
And do you have any comments about them, please?
No.
Okay, I have 2 comments. I did not see an FAR worksheet. I did the calculation, and from what I think is going on, you're below that, but we do ask that worksheet be placed on all drawings. So if you
Okay,
could-
so, sorry, I'll let you finish and then I'll
No, go
respond.
ahead, go ahead.
Oh, so this is actually our building and safety set. The worksheet was on our previously submitted set, which was for IMBAR conceptual review, and then we were asked to return for final on consent. So the FAR worksheet is not included on this because it was for building department purposes.
We asked that it be put on all sets so that in the future, when somebody pulls your permit, let's say a prospective buyer, they'll be able to see the work that you've done and how this board looked at the project. So if you could please add that. The
Yes,
second,
absolutely.
thank you. And the second thing, I did not see a light fixture, or I felt the light fixture was incorrect. Could you have some new doors going out on a patio? Code requires lights at every door. I did not see any door callouts. Can you please address that, please?
Yes, we will. And any light fixtures will be night sky compliant, but also in the style to match the existing exterior light fixtures.
Can you say that they will match them? In the
Yes.
style of is pretty generic.
The only reason I said in the style of is to ensure that any modifications required to make them night sky compliant are addressed, whether it be in the glass or hooding. of
In
the
the, in the set that we're looking, which is what you said, we're the construction set, do you have that, those lights in this set?
No, she doesn't. That's
Oh,
what I'm
oh,
saying.
no, oh, that's what, okay, I couldn't tell whether okay. So we actually don't have, I'm just looking at, because we requested we have everything, so can we give this? I mean, we can't really move forward without having that stuff on the set that we're reviewing, right?
Well,
I can confirm that we will add the FAR worksheet back to the cover sheet and that we will include a picture of the existing light fixture indicate the locations at the new doors, and a note that states that the new light fixtures will match existing and be night sky compliant.
That would be fine. That,
Okay,
yeah. So I would be prepared to recommend approval. Claire and I do not approve. Recommend approval to the full board with those two conditions. And if you want to wait for 10, 15 minutes, we will make that at that time. But besides that, I think the set is fine and ready to move forward. Okay?
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you. Now, okay, that concludes the consent calendar. It is, according to my clock, it's 12:59. We're supposed to wait a minute to get started. So we will. Don, welcome. Tip, welcome.
oh, right, you're chairing this meeting,
I
right?
am.
I keep forgetting that.
Hello, everyone.
Don, you are on mute.
Hi, Tip.
Hi.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay,
Bob Clamber, you either have a wonderful backdrop on your Zoom call or you're hanging out in a very nice place.
Yeah, it's one of my past projects. It's not where I'm currently sitting.
oh.
But thank you. I want to be sitting there.
Okay.
Gee, I like that.
It is 1 o'clock. My name is John Watson. I have been asked to chair this meeting of the Montecito Board of Architectural Review. Bill Wolf, our chairman, has other business today, so he could not make it. Our vice chairman, Dave Mendro, will be handling the screen and doing, I hope, his currently excellent job. So with that, I'd like to get started with the meeting. Public comment. Is there anybody that's on this Zoom call that would like to address the Montecito Board of Architectural Review on any item that is not on our agenda?
I don't have anything, John, thanks.
Very good. I'll close public comment. Item number 2, agenda status report. Is there anything to report?
Yes, thank you, John. Item number 3, I believe, no, excuse me, 4 on the consent agenda, 21 BAR 78 Anderson New Cabana and Pool is being dropped from the agenda.
Is there somebody that would like to make a motion to that effect, please?
Which item is being dropped?
C4,
Oh, C4.
1567 East Valley Road.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Don.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any
Thanks, Dave.
discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that item's been dropped. Anything else, Sharon?
No, thank you.
Mr. Watson, I just have one question and one clarification. And it had to do with the agenda. The agenda states, and this came out when we were on the site, that attendees at the site meetings will be required to wear face masks. That is inaccurate. We were not required. So I think in the future, please take that off the agenda, because that's why I showed up with a face mask, and I was told I didn't need to have a face mask. But the agenda says that we were supposed to be wearing face masks. And I think that should be clarified moving forward. Okay?
Thank you very much. Okay, we have 2 sets of minutes. June 17th, is there anybody here that has comments about June 17th, please?
No, I'm leaving it to you.
Okay, I do have some right there where it is. Acting Chair John Watson, right at the top. I do not believe I chaired that meeting.
I'm sorry.
So it should, and not say acting chair, it should say Chair Bill Wolf.
Okay.
I also believe that Kimberly, that was her first meeting. Kimberly, do you remember if that was your meeting?
No, I thought it was June 1st.
I don't know, I'm asking. So
I believe that was my first meeting.
The 17th.
the 17th?
I got mixed up. Okay.
Okay, very good.
Then in fact, the everything should be corrected, starting with the top, which now lists Alex Studley. You know, Kimberly's name should be put on all of this, not Alex Tuttle.
Got it.
Okay, and I agree. Okay, now under item number Roman numeral 2,
Mhm.
agenda status report, there are no motions listed
Oh, I see
there,
that.
which are normally listed, and they are included later on in the agenda, but to have the form correct, I think we should get the motions there.
I think I was checked out that day. Thank you.
Okay. Now, item number Roman numeral 4, minutes. The action is a motion that should actually be under C1, consent item number 1. I don't know what that motion was, but what's written down is not correct.
Okay.
Got it? Please correct that. Kind of got off to a rough start on these minutes.
No, I was actually sick. Sorry. Not an
Okay.
excuse, but just the reason.
Okay, item number 3, comment number 5. Down at the bottom. Applicant to work with land use planner to flush out plans. What does that mean? Please. Can someone, should we strike that?
Well, let's see, I can't, Dave, can you move the minute, move up to number 5? I can't even see it.
No, it's comment 3, item 5. It's just, you can enlarge that if you want, right there. The last one.
It's item 3. I thought you said item 5. Okay, that's fine.
Comment 5. Applicant to work with land use planner to flush out plans. I don't know what that phrase means. Does anybody?
I suggest we strike it.
Excellent. So do I. Okay, item number 4. Okay. Some of this may seem picky, but please be with me. Comment number 1. Site visit and story polls, we normally say are required, and I think we should add that phraseology there. Comment number 2, provide site sections. Where, how many, I mean, that's a little vague in terms of somebody knowing what to do. Did somebody make that comment? Did they know what they were intending? Can you please provide some clarification here?
John, I think the applicant would know the crucial information that the board is after. So I think that's a reasonable comment.
But just that way without any further elucidation?
Yeah,
Yes,
let them prove to us what they need to prove.
Somebody made that comment and it's okay.
Doesn't need any specifics.
Okay,
No.
very good, thank you. That's why we do this together. Okay, item number 3 and item number 8 are related, and I'm wondering if we want to, what we want to do. Provide neighborhood FAR study, and then one member expressed concern regarding FAR. The one member was Tip.
Actually, you know what, Beth? I believe it was more than one member. I believe it was me and Claire that did mention about the FAR.
About the FAR, having an FAR study. Yeah. And that's what we were trying to say, provide an FAR study, because they didn't do one.
Okay, so Claire, did you also express a concern about the FAR at the meeting?
Yes.
Okay, then I think.
FAR study for the board's review.
I think it should then say the item number 8 should say 2 members express concern regarding FAR. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, item number 5, comment number 3. I don't know what the word interface there means. Clarify interface between front wall and hedge. Is it clarified landscaping at front wall? What are we trying to get at here? Please.
Where is this? This is on.
Item number 5, comment number 3.
Clarify interface between front wall and hedge. Well, interesting.
What does it mean? Who said it?
That was, Mr. Chair, that was almost a direct quote from Bill Wolf, I believe. And I was trying to go back to my notes and see, but he if I'm remembering correctly, he had some concerns about how they were to relate to each other.
Just say interaction between front wall and hedge. Clarify interaction between.
Or
front wall and
relationship.
Yeah, or the relationship between, yeah.
Dave, I think, and Sam, I think I like the word relationship. Do other people agree or?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I think that's what he probably was trying to say, is that he was trying to figure out how those two things were going to work together and.
I think it's an okay word, John, but relationship is fine too.
Okay. Okay, let's do that. Item number 5, and that's our comment number 5. I think we should put a period at the end of that sentence, and then at the beginning of verify Montecito Fire Department, add that as comment number 6. I think that clarifies what we were trying to do there.
Oh,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, I think it just put the 6 in there.
That's
Okay.
fine.
Item number 6, comment number 1. We're going to visit this in just a few minutes at the consent calendar, but comment number 1, address, I'd like to add the word perimeter wall height. Okay. And item number 9. Okay, this is a project that, as we all know, up in the R&Z zone and at Park Lane. Watson moved the action at the bottom. No comments, interestingly enough. Watson moved, seconded by Sharp, and carried 7-0 to grant preliminary approval. The project, but didn't we have a whole series of statements about providing additional landscape, species size, spacing?
Yeah,
We wanted a real landscape plan. I felt like, I think, Claire, you agree that was still a conceptual or preliminary plan. It had no real meat to.
it didn't have it. I think now I remember. I mean, it didn't have any. It wasn't fully developed as a landscape plan.
Okay.
And I think the applicant stated that it was a little premature to start analyzing it at that point.
Okay, then perhaps under the action, the second sentence should say, the project may return for final on consent with a fully developed landscape plan, including lighting cut sheets. How's that sound?
That's
Fine.
Sounds good.
Okay, that is all the comments that I have. Does anybody else have any comments?
No, John.
I will move for approval of the minutes as amended.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you very much for your comments. I will try to get more in the swing of things with our minutes. It's a bit of a daunting task, so I do appreciate the input.
It would not surprise me if I am the daunting task. Okay,
I wasn't going to
Okay.
say that out loud, John, but there you have it. So
okay, so the minutes of July 1st, 2021 will be considered. Does anybody have any comments about this, please? Okay, I have some. Again, Claire properly pointed out at the very top, the name of the supervising planner should be Kimberly McCarthy. Okay. Then it is not an acting chair Bill Wolf. It is Chair Bill Wolf in the first couple of sentences there. Down at the bottom of this, item number 5, staff update. Kimberly McCarthy attended the last meeting, first time, not this meeting, so that should be struck. Okay, item C1, under the motion. I'd like to end at the end of it a phrase, so I'm just going to start. I'll read the whole thing. Watson moved, seconded by Gottstanker, and carried by a vote of 6-0, Mendro absent, to grant preliminary and final approval with the requirement that 3 60-inch minimum box trees be planted. Get rid of the word on site and add to the west of the entry walk. Period. Oak tree configuration to the east of entry walk to be as shown on plans. Isn't that correct, Claire?
Yes, that is correct, you know.
Okay. Okay, item number 1, comment number 2. Return with details. I would like it to say with, strike the word details, return with completed plans. Details would imply just the detail sheet, and we want all of it, please. Item number 2, comment number 2. I'd like it to say, get rid of the word locating, the second word, and say, consider reconfiguring new entry drive to the west as an option to reduce paving, and then get rid of the word integrate and increase landscaping.
Yeah, I remember this one. Okay, that's good.
Okay, item
Yeah.
number 3, comment number 4. Return with, again, completed plans, not details, please. Comment number, item number 4, comment number 3. Who made that comment? Consider adding architectural elements to add visual interest. Was that you, Tip?
I don't think so.
Don? I can't remember.
Probably.
Yes, I think that was John. This is that Danielson project, right?
Yeah.
I think it was me, yes.
Can you elucidate that a little bit more so we can give them a little bit better direction? What did you have in mind when you said that, please?
Good question. I think that says it pretty well, but
Okay, that's fine. I'm good. If that's all you can, if that's all you have.
I think that says it all.
Yeah.
Okay. Item number 5, comment number 2. Kimberly, I love you. Project reasonable and straightforward. Does anybody know what that means?
Reasonable.
Is it project acceptable?
It could be, I think what you were trying to imply was that it's an acceptable project if it's with the character of the neighborhood, the site.
Well, should we just strike it?
We can do that.
Yeah, let's strike
Oh, yeah,
that.
this was the guy that already had permits, and we, you know, made comments on the project, but, you know, I mean, yeah, saying it reasonable and straightforward is because there were several members who were trying to redesign the project, and actually he already had permits and he just ran out.
And we sort of got that information toward the end.
Yeah.
Okay. If the minutes are to reflect what occurred in the meeting, which is what I think they're supposed to do, should the following comment be added? One member suggested reconsidering the design as a single-story solution.
Did you
Or
say, did
I-
you, that
I
that
did
is,
say
yeah,
that.
it was you that said that. I was, yeah.
I did say that. Is that important, or should we let that go, please? Members, please.
My opinion is we let it go. You know, I think for me, I think we should have let go of this whole project. I think, you know, I think it should have come in, we should have looked at it and moved it along. And so you know.
Don, do you have an opinion?
I agree with Claire.
Okay, let's leave it off then. Okay, item number 8, comment number 4. Call out pool entrance as 6-foot CMU wall with no opening facing east. So we strike adjacent to neighbor property and just say facing east. With 6-foot CMU wall with no opening facing east.
Oh, this is the pool enclosure. Is this the one we just did?
We just reviewed it, but we're trying, and they did it. Okay, so, okay, and that is all I have. Is there anybody with anything else, please?
Nope.
Is there a motion for approval?
So move.
A second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And I'm-
Opposed? David?
I'm abstaining because I didn't attend this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Okay. Montecito consent agenda. Item C1 was reviewed by Claire and I, 515 Santa and Angela Lane, Brett Enter, and we recommend approval as submitted. And to that end, I will make a motion for approval as submitted.
I'll second that.
Any further any discussion, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, item number C2. Matthews Edition, 190 Miramar Avenue. Claire and I reviewed that project, and we are ready to approve that with the following 2 comments. 1, add FAR worksheet to set of drawings. And 2, light fixture to match existing, except as required to make night sky compliant. And I will make a motion to that effect. Is there a second for that, please?
I'll second it.
And is there any comment, please? Comment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item C3, 1510 San Leandro Lane. Claire and I reviewed it, and we would like,
This is just a straight approval, I think.
no, there's one thing. Claire and I would like to recommend approval with the wall along San Ysidro Road to be noted to be no higher than 6 feet.
I thought it was the San Leandro part that.
No, it's the San Ysidro Road.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so is there a second for that, please?
I'll second that then.
So I'll make that motion with that condition with Claire as a second. Is there any discussion, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Item C4 is being dropped from the agenda. We did not do it during the agenda status report that Sharon wanted us to do now. Is there anybody that would like to make a motion to drop item C4, 1567 East Valley Road, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, there are some things that I don't, okay, here it is. MBIR members informational briefings. Did anybody go anywhere or do anything, please?
No.
Nope.
Anybody else? Item number,
Actually, John,
yes, please.
I will be stepping down on item number 6. And if we have a quorum, then I will be excused for 7 and 8. That's it.
Okay, okay, thank you. Anybody else, please? Okay. Roman numeral number 6, staff update. Kimberly, do you have anything for us, please?
I do not.
I believe Bill will be in town, and Dave told me today at the site visit that he was going to attend the joint chairs meeting. Is there anything that we would like them to discuss at that meeting that has not been brought up before? Very good.
So John, can I just
Yes.
ask a question?
Sure.
So what you're saying is that Bill is coming back into town and both Bill and Dave Mendro, Mr. Mendro, I guess I should say, to be really hot, will both be attending that joint meeting, right? Is that what
No, Bill's going to be gone. I'm intending for him.
So you are going to attend the joint chairs meeting. And when is that meeting, Dave?
It's next Monday, I believe at 12 or 12:30.
Okay, so if we had any comments between now and then I'll just send them to you. if I think-
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Actually, I do have one comment.
Please, go ahead, sir.
This is for Mr. Mandrew. So this was an item that left over for many years, and that had to do with the stipend for both MPC and MBOR that was supposed to be approved by the board and moved and so far and so on. So maybe that's a good idea to bring that up again because it's still a pending item.
Okay.
I think that water is under the bridge. They just had budget hearings, I believe. Now
and I do think at the budget hearings that it was actually discussed and the request was tabled. And somebody maybe Kimberly can look into that because I think I think the Board of Supervisors said that they're not going to deal with that request right now. That's what I heard anyway.
Well, I can ask for the status of that when I'm meeting. That's no problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying but I think it's a done deal. I think that at the budget hearings, it was decided that they're not giving out any stipends this year. So that's all.
Just for MBOR and MPC.
Right.
That's correct, Mr. Khan.
But the rest of all the other boards, they receive it.
That's correct. But that item had to be, the request was made to the first district supervisor. The first district supervisor then put that request inside of the because it's a budgetary issue for staff and the county. And at that, during those hearings, I think what I heard was that it was the request had been made and it's going to be moved to another, pushed down the line for the next budget hearings, which will be a year from now. That's what I believe is the status of going on with that request.
David, could you just go and report back to us in a meeting or two about it?
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else like to keep the meeting moving? Okay, item C1, conceptual review. Dubois, I hope I'm not mashing that name, addition and remodel, 915 Park Lane. Bob Clammer, make sure that you are unmuted. And we have a planning memo. So if you could read that, scroll up a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, this project is subject to the requirements of the RMZ 40 zone and Montecito Land Use and Development Code, etc. And there was something a little bit farther down. Okay. The project is subject to the development plan permit based on the resource protection zone, the single-family dwelling, guest house, pool, and all existing development were permitted prior to the RMZ zoning district requirements for this site. In other words, things are grandfathered in. The proposed DVP, development plan, I assume, will include all existing development on the property and the proposed improvements. The decision maker for this project is not us, but the Montecito Planning Commission. So we're recommending to the Montecito Planning Commission. Buena Vista Creek is east of the residence, and the Buena Vista Trail is on the far side of the creek. The existing residence is visible from the trail. The proposed project with the addition has an FAR of 124. Please comment on the size of the house.
And this is, oh, okay, whoa.
Okay,
Okay, here we go.
and there are photos, Dave, if you can help, let's get those started, please. And Bob, the floor is yours.
Okay, Bob Clammer representing Peter Moore and Debbie Dubois. This house was built in 1990 and they moved here recently. They have a large family, 6 boys and a mother living with them. And they would like to make the house fit their family and also embrace the outdoor living, being as though they just moved from England where the weather's quite a bit different. So that's what you can see in the lower right-hand corner. The photograph is a pretty good overview of the whole site. Down on the upper, on the upper left is Park Lane, and that is southbound of the rest of the view here. As you go up the hill, you go by a pool cabana or guest room, and across the pool, barely you can see it, there are 2 little cubes that are kind of scissoring across there. Those are little pool pavilions, outdoor kitchen, outdoor shade structure. And then you work your way up the driveway. The driveway goes all the way up to the north end of the property where they have a motor court. And you enter the house, and then as you enter, you walk back through and experience all the wonderful ocean views seen looking south again. The outdoor terrace seen in the middle of the photo is where we are proposing an outdoor kitchen up against the existing garage, which is closest to the top of the sheet. You can see a car parked just beyond it. So it's kind of nestled in the existing house where it has the least amount of impact, and it's 1 story down at that deck level. If we go to the whole photo board again, you can see the middle photos show the site from Park Lane, and that's the entry drive obviously on the left. And if you move over the top of Buena Vista Creek, close to the trailhead, there's the view of the property behind the oak trees and sycamores. Basically, you can't see it from the street. The top 2 photos, you can see it. You get intermittent views as you hike up the Buena Vista Trail. To see part of it, which would not be the kitchen part that we're showing on the right. And then you get a bigger view, but further away on the upper left.
Can we move on to the drawings, please?
Yeah, Mike, can I just show one, the bottom
Sure.
photo on the lower left, just to familiarize yourself with that. That's a view from the opposite side of the first photo I showed you. In that curved patio area, we're proposing to put a little conservatory in there that's curved as well off the existing kitchen. And it faces the trees that you see at the bottom of the picture, and beyond the trees is a city water tank and a tennis court of a neighbor further up the canyon. Also to the right of that curved area is a small bathroom addition and a small bedroom push out about 33 inches. And those are the only areas that push out from the house as much as you may all think there's a lot of square footage addition to this house, that's only 310 square feet that's projecting out beyond the existing roof line of the house. The rest of the remodel is inside, filling in some of the volume spaces or interior stairwells. So it's not the 798 square feet, it's 310 as far as impacting the neighborhood in an area that has virtually no impact to any neighbors.
David,
Somewhere.
plans, please. Thank you.
The vicinity map in the upper right-hand corner shows you that we are in the upper part of Park Lane. And property is actually surrounded by 7 homes, and 4 of those 7 homes have larger FAR than what we're proposing. So I think we're pretty much in the neighborhood context. And then if you look at this site plan, Park Lane is on the right, and creek is between the 2 green fields, and that's the sensitive, environmentally sensitive habitat area between the 2. And then there's also a 50-foot setback in the magenta color from the top of bank of that creek. Yeah, falls right along there. You can see the constraints we had to build with. And okay, if you notice the different colors in the floor plan, the gray areas are the areas that we are not affecting. That's the existing interior part of the house. And the golden areas are the remodeled additions that I just spoke about, the curved, what's called the garden room off the kitchen. And the guest room, which is the mother's room, is expanding just large enough to help her have a walker and future wheelchair access to an added accessible bathroom. The golden area that's up towards the top of the sheet there, towards the terrace, is underneath the existing roof line. And you'll see later on the second floor that we're also doing all the improvements on the interior. The white areas of that floor plan is going to be remodeled, but it doesn't affect any of the exterior. Also on this plan, you can see where the outdoor kitchen is. It's kept at the same level as the kitchen and the breakfast room. And then you step down to the old terrace level, which barely you can see a dashed line that wraps around where the fountain is. You see, yes, that's it. That's the extent of the existing terrace. We're pushing it out a little bit more. They want to enjoy their outdoor space. And we're replacing an existing spa with the plunge pool with an infinity edge. It's all kept behind the 50-foot creek setback. And there is a pool equipment area for that that will show up on the landscape plan later. In addition to this, the garage, it's basically a 3.5-car garage. They'd like to convert it into a 4-car garage. So we've added, I think, 5 feet for pushing it out to the side in the blue that you can see. That's over there. Yeah. So right there is the garage addition, which basically is away from any neighbors and doesn't change the look of the end of the building. And then if you want to cycle through any of the existing floor plans.
Can we go back to that just quickly? David, first sheet. Just for people that have not had a chance to review the drawings, the property is high in the lower left-hand corner and descends as it moves to the right-hand side of the drawing, just so you understand where it is. It's high on the left, low on the right. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, need a clarification of how this is written on the agenda. With the last sentence, it says the property is an acre parcel. Is that accurate? It's 1 acre? I mean, because the way that with the agenda is written, you can't tell how many acres we're talking about here.
It is 3.
It's 3 acres. Okay, so that's kind of why, see, I was confused when it came to the FAR number. So it's a 3 acre. The property is a 3 acre parcel.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's keep moving. I'm sorry I interrupted. Bob, please.
Yeah.
If you want to just flip through each sheet in order, I can. So that's an old demolition plan. Probably don't need to see that. But, that's what we're proposing. It's the gold areas. That's showing the existing plan, and the pink areas where we are converting the interior volume and the interior, excuse me, the deck off of that into interior space. We're also converting stairwell. You can see it there. It's going to be a sports loft for watching TV and socializing. Elevations, the top elevation that's lighter.
Oh, this is 2-story.
Is the existing. And then the proposed is darker. And you can see the changes are minimal. The only thing that really stands out is there is on the second from the top, left side is an outdoor kitchen. It's open air on 3 sides. Right there. Thank you. Open air on 3 sides with the back of it connected to the back of the garage. And the structure is going to be out of steel to give contrast from all of the stucco that we have.
Over.
And to lighten the feeling of it. And in addition, we're going to have a stone wainscot added to ground the building back to the earth and add some more texture to all of the stucco that's currently there. What's going on here? There was a more up-to-date drawing of this, but I can explain what happened with the new elevation, second from the top. That arched form that's on the right side is going to be removed to satisfy the fire department's requirements for a wider driveway. And then the bottom elevation shows the kitchen on the left, and it is way beyond. I probably should have drawn it lighter so it doesn't look like it's right there in your face, but it's set back all the way to the garage beyond the terrace. And then there's the extension of the stone wainscot turned into a seat wall that wraps around that terrace. You can see the lighter steel structure there. And this is more or less the west elevation shows the addition. If you see the dimension lines below there, it shows that kind of conservatory garden room added off the kitchen. And then a little bit of addition to the right of the bathroom for the mother and her bedroom expansion of 33 inches. This is a blow up of the pool pavilion, the top being what's existing. That kind of sawtooth structure with the 2 boxes faces the pool to the left. And the structures are really, at least one of them is too small to really do much with it. And so you can see what we're proposing is removing the columns and opening it up on the proposed version down below. And we'll support that with a curvilinear steel C-channel roof supported by some 4-inch columns and just make it a lot more user friendly. I can have an outdoor TV there.
Hello.
The backside facing the creek is going to remain the same, so there's no impact to the
I'm on a phone call.
public areas.
Okay.
So are you done there, Bob?
Pretty much, just point out, this is the existing view of the pool pavilion looking down from the house at the top of the view. Nothing, excuse me, pool pavilion on the left, which has got modest changes, and then the pool cabana on the right, which has no changes. It's just included to complete the development plan request.
Thank you. Okay, questions? Tip,
No, no questions. Thank you.
Claire?
Yes, you referred to the size of buildings around you. Did you do, I mean, because it looks to me like you got an overage with your FAR. And then you referred to that there were other buildings around you that were larger than, have you done a neighborhood study?
Yes, we did. And I delivered that to our planner if he's around. I don't know if he could pull it up, but it just shows, or I could.
Well, you don't have to, I did, that was, so you did have done a study.
Yeah, and I
Okay,
could show
fine.
it to you if I could find it.
Okay, so that's the question. Don, do you have a question, please?
No questions.
Sam, questions?
Yeah, just real quick, Bob. You know, you talked about the spa being converted into a new infinity plunge pool. Did you change the expanding that out of ways to get the infinity? Is there a exposed height or grade change on the creek side, I guess, of that pool that's a little different, or is it all remain the same kind of grading?
Yeah, it's probably going to drop 30 inches.
Just a small drop. Okay, I was just curious if it was a tall wall back there.
Yeah.
Anything
That's all.
else?
Thank you.
Okay. David?
Yeah, what is your proposed FAR and what is the FAR of the houses in the neighborhood?
Okay, let me try to find my documents.
Well, the agenda says it's 120, 124.
Yeah, it's 124. And I don't think as chairman, I want to accept something coming in this late. I have a pretty good idea where I want to go with that. So, Bob, can we just deal with that a little bit later?
I don't know if you can.
And
It doesn't work, does it?
and no.
Here we go.
And I have no questions. Okay. Is there anybody in the audience that's attending this meeting that would like to address our board on item number 1, 915 Park Lane, please? Anybody? Sharon, do you see anybody?
No, no one has their hands raised.
Okay, you are called Bob Clammer, so.
Yeah, I know. We came in on Bob's link. Hi, John. This is Peter Moore, and this is my wife Debbie. To my right, the owners of the property that's being discussed. And as Bob mentioned, we moved here from England in the fall of last year, and delighted to be new residents of Montecito. Also, we're delighted to be living in such a wonderful area with the Buena Vista Creek and the trail right on our doorstep here. As Bob pointed out, the home is about 30 years old. It's been kept in very good condition, but is in need of some updating. As he also pointed out, between us, we have 6 children and Debbie's 88-year-old mother living with us. And so whilst the house has been magnificently maintained, it does require some updating, and also some updating to the functionality of a modern family. And that's where we're at. We also, because we live in a beautiful area, have got a lot of guests that want to come and visit us. And so from that perspective, we're trying to modernize the home to be fitting of our lifestyle, and also at the same time be maintaining the look and the feel, particularly externally, of what we believe a home that is pretty exposed to the trail and to the creek itself, whilst adhering to all the setbacks. And of course, it's been rezoned since the original home was built as a result of the debris flow, and in particular with this creek being overwhelmed onto Park Lane. And we're very close to working with the Montecito Water District, because there will be some work that's going to go in on our doorsteps here, and we're very willing and able to cooperate with all of that work that is proposed, which is part of the FEMA grant. But yes, we do need to update the home a little bit, so that it can allow us to be able to have our children here comfortably, as well as to take care of Debbie's mom.
Are you done now?
Okay.
Are you done? Okay, very good, thank you.
Are you asking, are we done or am I
Are we
Debbie?
done?
Yes, are you done commenting?
Yes, we have completed our comments, John. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board, please? Someone else that's got their hand raised, Bob Clammer, it's a woman. I don't know who it is. There you go.
Hi. Hi, Stacy Fawcett. I'm a landscape architect working with the Moores Dubois on this project. And just wanted to comment that as far as landscaping, that it's mostly mature landscape that's existing. There's a small amount of landscape around that plunge pool area. And then we've also been working with the planner on reinforcing the screening and native vegetation that would occur on that creek bank to give a little bit more buffer between the house and the trail across the way. So we have, plans that address that. I also met with the fire department and they've given us a stamped approved plan for access for this property as well.
Very good. And is there anybody else that would like to address the board on 915 Park Lane, please? Okay, I'm going to close public comment. I'm going to go back through the same order that we went before. Tip, comments, please.
If I heard it correctly, is it the FAR, the 1.24?
1.24.
Yeah, and I'm actually, a little concerned about that because, as we all know, we rarely approve any project more than 110 unless the applicant come in with some site studies, and especially for this neighborhood, which is these have some very big parcels, and if you go with the FAR, which I think is personally the problematic. So at this point, I'm not sure I can be on board with the project, even though I thought it's kind of modest in scale. I think the issue that existing height is already too big from day one. And are we going to make it bigger still, or are we to keep it the way it is? So
Okay. Okay, Claire, please.
That's actually the questions that I was asking. That's why I was after trying to figure out the FAR, and given that this is in the RMZ, I guess it's in the Hillside Overlay District, I am going to really have a problem approving the proposal as presented with a 24, with the overage at 124%. Part of what's being proposed is expanding a garage. Well, those garage numbers actually are part of the FAR at this point. And, for a hillside project, I'm going to have trouble with this one.
Wait, Don, are you done, Claire? I'm sorry.
Yes, no, that's it, yes.
Okay, Don, please.
Thank you. Architecturally, I think it's obviously compatible and hardly noticeable from anywhere. I don't feel quite as strong as my two predecessors here. I think the additions are absolutely, as Bob mentioned, very minor. The garage won't be noticed and is just so minimal. So I'm not as concerned about the FAR issue. I am looking for some comparisons with the neighboring properties. However, I think that, as Bob has mentioned, may have some bearing on this. Thank you.
And yeah, that's why I wanted to see if there was an FAR study. I'd be more than willing to back off of my feeling about the 124 once I see the neighborhood study.
Sam?
It's accurate that there's bigger ones around.
Sam? Comment, Sam? Sam Mathis?
In their this house has been there 30 years. I think it's an established planting and trees and it's absorbed by existing landscape. So the setting is there. It's not going to change much with these little pop outs, if you will. So I think the integrity of what Bob's showing us looks fine with the architectural style, and the existing conditions have absorbed this. And if they can, pay attention to these little areas a little bit in their remodel, then I don't have as much of a problem with it. I guess I should have asked one more question when I was on the spa plunge pool. The pool equipment, Bob, you alluded to was on another sheet or in another area. Will that be in the same place it's been where the spa equipment is, or will it need to be expanded? And will it be a bigger facility towards the boundary? Can you answer that one quickly?
Stacey, do you want to answer that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The plunge pool equipment will be tucked into the hillside just below the plunge pool, but closer to the driveway, down
Okay.
low.
And you'll have the new equipment to be inboard, so it won't be towards the creek.
No, yeah, it's where it says like 266. Can you see that? Where it says gravel 270, down in that slope. It'd be tucked into the hillside and enclosed as well.
And screened. Okay. So again, I feel like Don, I don't have as much of a concern if there's a neighborhood compatibility study to prove its established condition is one with the rest of the area, then I'm fine with it.
David, please.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Don and Sam. Those were my feelings, that this is a well-designed, relatively small addition to a project. And most all of it's concealed and hidden from public view. So as I mentioned in my questions, in order for me to confirm that I can support it, I do need to know the surrounding neighborhood and that other houses exceed the FAR in similar fashion, then I can support it. But I need that documentation before I can do that. But overall, I think it's a nicely conceived project.
And I'm going to conclude here. I agree with Dave and Sam. I know everybody knows that I'm a stickler on the FAR, but I'm also very much receptive to neighborhood compatibility studies. But Bob, architects have a bad habit of cherry picking which projects that they show. And that doesn't really help us develop an understanding of the neighborhood that does enable us to understand a few houses in a neighborhood. So I think if you came back showing the 7 that you pointed out and maybe 2 or 3 or 4 more around it, so we have something 10, 15 houses in the area adjacent, so you're not skipping over anything, please. I think that my guess is we're going to find out that this is consistent with the neighborhood. I don't know that, but I am suspecting that. I also think that we are not playing with a full palette here of drawings, because it sounds like there is some movement in landscaping to help settle this project into the hillside even more per the planner's request. So would people like this to come back on consent for Claire and I to review this documentation? Or would you like to have it come back to the full board and?
No, I think it has to come back to full board because,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, full board. And I want to remind everybody, we are not going to be the primary decision makers on this. And I think that we need to assess what our recommendation to the or our comments to the planning commission are. They will be ultimately having the decision. So is there anything else anybody needs to say on this item, please? Okay, hearing none. Thank you very much. There is no motion because it's for conceptual only. Item number 2, Cox addition, 433 Alcala Lane.
John?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, what just happened there? So what is it?
Return to the full board on consent, concept.
Further conceptual review at the full board.
Exactly. Yep. Okay. Okay. Amy, are you there, please? I see you. You are muted, Amy. Amy, you're muted. There you go. Okay.
I'm Amy Von Prost, and our project is 433 Alcoa Lane. Mr. Chair, is it okay if the owner would actually like to present this project? She's on. Is that okay with you?
Take it away. David, we've got the wrong thing on the screen, so let's get that corrected before we go on. Well, that's the minutes for 190 Miramar Avenue.
Well, that's, oh, I'm sorry. I went to C2. I apologize.
Oh, we went to the conceptual, yeah.
Would you like to start with the drawings or the photographs first?
Yes. Yes.
The drawings?
And the owner is Anna Cox, and she is here, ready to present.
No. Let's start with the photos.
Start with the photos, you know.
Yeah.
Some of us haven't seen the project, so, you know.
Okay, Amy, do you want to take over that part then?
Sure. You can go ahead, Anna. That's fine.
Okay. I can't see these very well, but the photos that you're looking at, well, first, hi, I'm Anna Cox from 433 Alcala Lane. And these pictures were actually very early pictures on our project. It's a ranch style house that's had a lot of different modifications and remodeling and repairs over the years that have produced a very inconsistent kind of architecture. We have plans that have been approved and are underway that are changing out windows and creating a consistent exterior on the property. So those are already approved plans. The windows are scaled more vertically, a board and batten with a Dura cement board for fireproofing. And the architectural concept is more of the modern ranch farmhouse feel. So what you can see on the pictures that are really helpful to us at the moment, though, convey how this house sitting at the end of the Alcala cul-de-sac is really nicely sited relative to its neighbors, to where it's not very visible at all from the street and not really visible to any of the neighbors. So it really provides us all the very much desired privacy. It sits up on the knoll. You can see the contour lines. The proposal that we're talking about today is a small portion on the east elevation that really works to resolve some structural problems as well as aesthetic and functional problems, both from the interior and exterior of the house. You can see the areas of consideration that are darkened. Okay, next screen. Oops. Would you like to go to the next one?
Dave, can you move on? There you go. I don't know how much
There
we
it
have to
is.
work on the interior of the plan. I think
Yeah.
we can keep moving, being efficient with our time.
Okay, great. So we'll just focus on how this works on the exterior.
Period.
So if you go back to the last photo, it would be on the right side of this image of the house, which is the eastern elevation, and actually the area that is really not seen by anybody. There's a bedroom number 2 on the top right, and then a space in between, and then the master bedroom. The proposal would be to bridge those 2 areas. It currently has overlapping eaves and a very severe problem with drainage that gets created. And it also attracts a lot of exterior critters from the outside. The next is the end of the master bedroom. You can see where the demo plan would have it extending. Oh, do you want to go back to that plan view for a moment?
Well, it's better for us to see elevations than it is to see.
Okay, sure. Then let's go to the next one. So if you go down to the 3rd elevation, the eastern elevation, you can see the The third level, do you see where it says eastern elevation?
This one
Yes,
here?
we can see
And
that.
on row number 3. So row number 3,
No.
there we go. So here we can see the existing part. The area on the left is the living room, and the far area on the right with the vertical striping indicating the board and batten is bedroom number 2. That area where the two eaves overlap, those two vertical lines are this funny gap. There's currently an inconsistent old sliding glass door, which is the only ventilation and light in that bedroom. And then there's a bathroom where that turret is with the gabled roof that was utilizing the space in between the living room and the master, and really had no other roofing alternative in the past, but is just not very aesthetically pleasing. And it has a tiny little window that you can see between those two overhanging eaves. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, so the proposal on this, the proposal in the shaded areas has filling in that space between the two bedrooms, utilizing California framing through the intersection that's at the ridge line of the area going down the hallway to the end of bedroom number 2. The master bedroom would carry out on the current pitch line of that gable. And then there's an addition to the bathroom of a shower and toilet area. And let's go to the next image and you can see how that elevation changes.
There we go.
There you go. So now on row 3, you can see how tying those two ridge lines, the two slopes of those two individually gabled bedrooms into one creates a lot more pleasing architecture, as well as solving that ridiculous spot. And then the master bedroom is a nested gable coming out from the main one. And then board and batten and consistent lighting that's matching the rest of the house would carry around. The master bedroom gets ventilation and light on 3 sides now. And then the bathroom area, where it had a gabled end that was sort of stuck on in the odd space, we'd like to raise it up with a clear story window and a hip roof that's consistent with the kind of turret that's common in the farmhouse, modern ranch vernacular, and windows, so that we sort of took that lemon in the architecture and turned it into something architecturally pleasing from every elevation. The board and batten, the same Marvin windows, and then stone finish on the bathroom area would match the rest of the house. If we go to the next one, we can see a better picture of how those roof lines work. So on the right side, you can see how the ridge line is now in the middle of those two rooms and starts at the ridge of what goes down the hallway. And the turret is only on the 7.5 by 8 foot turret that currently exists, with the shower and toilet area added to the master bathroom being a flat roof that will slope off and incorporate into the existing drainage. Really allows for a functional bathroom and closet on that bedroom. You might like to go back to the prior elevation. And you can see how it just integrates from every side, tying together the architecture of the house in a pleasing way that it's really non-obtrusive. Is there any question?
Well, okay. And David, let's review the site plan, please. We didn't really get this project located into the property. Okay, lower right-hand corner.
Lower, the vicinity map?
Yeah, vicinity map. Does everybody know where Alcala is? Camino Viejo. It's a little side street. Everybody get it?
Yep.
Okay, and FAR, did we get an FAR study on this, please? Right there.
Amy?
We do.
Amy, are you here?
94. It's 94%. That calculator is at the top.
Okay, and Questions? David, please.
I don't have any questions, John.
Sam,
No questions, John.
Claire,
No questions.
Tip,
No questions.
Don.
Make it unanimous, no
Well,
questions.
Not quite. Okay, John. Thanks, everybody.
Almost.
Okay, so
So far,
are you repainting the whole house?
Repaving?
We, I got it, Anna. We are repainting the whole house, but that was, we're repainting it with the previous permit. And what we're adding now will be painted the same color.
Okay.
The original house was a stucco, and with the last permit, we got it changed to board and batten.
Okay.
So we're going to continue the house in board and batten, and we'll all be painted the same color.
Okay, and
What color is that?
it's a LRV of 87. So can we go to the elevations, please? There are portions of this drawing that have cut up doors and windows and others that have single light. Is that part of this proposal, or was that approved before, please?
The single lights was approved before.
Okay. And what about the cut-ups? Are they being now, or were they also approved? Are they existing?
They were approved. The cutouts were approved before, and again, only the 3 areas that we showed on addition, those cutouts will match what was approved before. Correct.
Okay, questions from the public. Does anybody like to address the board on 433 Alcala Lane, the Cox addition, please? Anybody? Okay, I don't see anything. I'll close public comment. Comments in the exact same order as before. David, please.
Yeah, I think it's a modest addition. It's under the FAR. It's according to the photos and what they've told us, it's not visible to the neighborhood. It's consistent with what they've already done with the house. And so I can support the project.
Sam?
I agree with everything Dave said.
Claire?
Yeah, I think I would agree. I mean, for 277 square feet, I mean, it's okay.
Tip?
I have no problem with the proposed addition. Thank you.
Don? Don Sharp?
Probably muted.
Well, he's got a dog he's working with. Don, are you there? Okay. In fact, I don't see him on my screen, so maybe he signed off. Okay, and I also don't have any particular problems. I think it's regrettable that it's very white, but if it was approved before, there's no reason to try to change that now. Now, what does the board want to do in terms of, Don, did you have comments?
no, I have no comments.
Okay, thank you, Don. What would the board like to do with this? Do preliminary final on consent? It's on for preliminary final now, but we don't have any details. What would people like to do with this?
I think we could put it on consent, John. You guys could look at this and make sure the details tie together, everything.
Okay, but do you believe that this is ready for preliminary?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so is there anybody that would like to make a motion for preliminary approval?
So moved. I'll make it preliminary
With final
Second.
on consent.
Consent. And do you guys understand, Amy, details? You've got a new tower. How is it going to get built? You've got some stone elements in there. How's that going to get integrated with windows? You understand that, correct? In terms
I
of
do
detail?
understand.
Okay, very
Yes.
good. So is there
I
any?
got it.
Very good, thank you. Is there anything else that anybody wants to say? There is a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you very much.
Don, can I ask a quick question?
Of course.
Yes.
I heard the motion to grant preliminary, return final on consent.
Yes.
I believe this is only on the agenda for conceptual review.
Well,
No,
not-
it's agendized as conceptual, preliminary, and
And
final.
final. Okay, excuse me. Thank you.
Got it? You okay there, Kimberly? Okay.
I am. I just need to learn to read. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, item number 3, Biles addition and remodel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. 191 La Verita Road. Megan, are you here or
Yes,
Daryl?
I am
Okay,
here.
excellent. And planner comment, is that what you're asking me to read? Okay. The existing residence garage and certain landscape features may be significant historical resources based on the age of the existing single-family dwelling, about 100 years old. The applicant has commissioned a historic resources study to evaluate the existing structures and development on the site. So given that, Megan, what would you like to do here?
Hello, board. I am here to present on behalf of Becker Studios and our clients, the Biles. My name is Megan Hart. We are presenting a relatively modest addition to an existing 2-story residence. The project is located at 191 La Verada Road, which is just right off the San Ysidro Road. You turn left on La Verada. The house itself, it was originally designed by George Washington Smith. That is why we're working with Post Hazeltine and Associates to produce a historical resource report. If you want to go to the site plan, or actually stay on this sheet real quick, I want to touch on this rendering we see here on the front. We did consult with Henry Linney to do conceptual elevation studies to determine the best way to propose an addition that's cohesive with the existing George Washington Smith Spanish colonial architecture. So if you want to go down to a PDF, I think page 4, which is the site plan, I'll show you. So on this site plan, we're adding the 2nd-story addition on the west side of the property. We're remodeling the existing dressing room, master bathroom, and then expanding it into this corner right here. That would, I guess, would be on the southwest. Now, if you want to go to the site photos, it's PDF page 3. So you'll see here, go actually to the photo. It's on the bottom right-hand corner of the page. This is the rear elevation of the house. You'll see there's this kind of funky sunroom addition that I believe was added on at a later date. It is not original. That's what our historical resources report will confirm. So that is the area of work we're limited to here. We're going to extend out the existing roof, the tiled roof, to cover that portion that we're remodeling and kind of make it feel more cohesive, get rid of that wood siding up there, replace it with stucco to match or plaster to match the existing house. If we want to go to the proposed, or let's go look at more of these photos first, just to orient everyone. So this is the west elevation. Where we're actually adding square footage is this area where the trumpet vine is growing in the top photo. So that's where we're extending out that area to create a larger, more comfortable, modernized master bathroom. And this photo below, again, where those trumpet vines are, that's where it would pop out and that roof line would continue on and it'd be a continuous plaster element just to look cohesive. If you want to go to our elevation sheets on PDF page 8 through 10, these sheets aren't as pretty as the beautiful rendering by Henry Linney, but here we are. This is the front elevation that you would see off of La Verada. This is where we're proposing the addition on the west side here, just extending out the roof and putting in a new Juliet balcony, similar in detail and style to the existing Juliet balconies on the property. And all the paint finishes, window trim finish would be painted to match existing. We do have a material board at the end of the set. You want to go to the next elevation sheet. And you'll see where we're demoing out that sunroom and then adding on just more cohesive looking architecture to the structure. And if you want to go to the last page of the set, you'll see our material board. These are photos taken of the actual house. So the exterior trim is this dark chocolate chip, or pardon me, not chocolate chip, Night Horizon Benjamin Moore, to match the existing window trim, existing shutters. The existing house is painted cloud white, so we would use that same paint finish, continue on the antique tile roof as well on the addition area. I believe that concludes my proposal, and I'm happy to answer anyone's questions.
Okay, Don, please. Question.
No questions.
Claire.
Is there any impact to the existing landscaping? I mean, I get the project itself is really small, and then there's this issue.
We're not proposing any landscaping. We
No, existing.
do not intend.
Yeah, so it's all to remain then, the existing landscaping. Okay.
Yes.
That was my question.
Sam?
No questions, John.
Tip?
No questions.
David?
No questions, John.
And I have a question. I did look at the floor plan, and it seems to me that the exterior of this building is being driven by the interior location of the bathtub and shower. And so the question is, which I think is atypical for George Washington Smith. I think he started from the outside and worked in. So the question is, have you considered an alternate size of the second floor so that you can get the doors and windows centered on the project rather than being off-centered?
We actually studied various iterations of the interior floor plans just for functionality and flow purposes. This is where we landed because we did initially, when we were looking at this on paper, notice, hey, these windows don't line up perfectly. Can we fix this? But our client was more concerned with the interior flow and feel and space and their needs on the interior rather than the exterior aesthetics. So to answer your question, yes, we studied it. But just for our clients' needs, we landed on this design.
Okay. Public comment. Is there anybody in the audience or attending this Zoom meeting that would like to address the board on 191 La Vereda Road, please?
John, I haven't received anything.
Very good. Nobody's hands are raised. I will close public comment. We are almost for sure going to end up with some kind of a historical report. I don't know if it's going to head off to the historical committee. I think that we should be cognizant that that might happen. So comments on our side. Don, please.
Well, I think the prior additions that were ameliorating, it's a good solution. There are problems with that, the prior. So I think the additions are justified and sensitive to the original George Smith project. Thank you.
Claire?
I agree with Mr. Sharp.
Sam?
Yeah, I think the addition is cleaning up something that may have been done in a fast way. I guess my only question is the window that's proposed in that area that now is on that west face. Is that clear pane and flanking windows a traditional window proportion to the rest of the proportions? It looks a little different than all the other fenestration. So I guess my question historically and just together, the building will be resolved when we get a historical report. But I asked the other architects on the board kind of their opinion on that. But I do think it's cleaning up, part of the building and making it a nicer quality overall. But I'm curious about that feature. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Tip?
I just have a minor comment. I think that the upper floor window on the west elevation probably might look a little better if you're lining up with the opening down below. But other than that, I think everything is acceptable. Thank you.
David?
I think it's a nicely conceived project. It improves on the addition that was done before. I agree with the comments on the west elevation. It could be more formal, but given that that's what works for the interior and what the owner wants, and that isn't a primary elevation of the house, I'm willing to support this the way it's shown, if the historians are. And I agree that window at the tub there is a little bit different than everything else, but again, given the context and where it's at, I'm okay with that, but it might be good to study something that's a little more in the vein of the house.
And my comment is, I think George Washington Smith was one of the leaders on the introduction of the Spanish colonial revival back in the 1920s, and we do pay homage to him, and I believe that this house should pay homage to him on the exterior as well as the interior. I think that there are solutions that the applicant could come up with where we would get a more, somebody, I think it was Tip, was talking about formality, a more formal solution. It might have been somebody else, and if it is, I apologize. But I don't think I will vote for this unless this really ends up being something that in my mind is indistinguishable from what he would have done originally. I don't think we are honoring his legacy if we do. So I'm hoping that the applicant, Megan and Daryl, can work with the applicants to maybe increase the size if necessary. I think that could work, or reconfigure the interior so that the exterior really maintains the purity of what George Washington Smith would have done. So, okay, is there anybody else that would like to comment on item number 3 before we go on, please? And what do we want to do about this? This is on for concept. It's got a historical report coming that probably will affect something. We want to
put it up for preliminary final.
Well, or another concept. What does the board want to do, please?
Well,
I'd like to see the.
Claire?
I mean,
do you want to see the concept again, or?
Well, I would like to see it again. I have no problem recommending that it come back to us at preliminary, because there's no problems here. And at preliminary, I think it should be full board, and that by that time we'll have the historic report, and then we can move it forward from there.
Okay, is everybody else in agreement, or does somebody have a different opinion on that, please?
I would be willing to have them, give them the option of preliminary final if they've got the historian lined up, and they, but it would be at their risk if the board didn't approve it.
We have the historian lined up and ready to provide us a report probably within the next 2 weeks. And we will study that window. I appreciate everyone's comments.
Do you have a feel on the historical report, or are you?
So I called Pam yesterday, and she said that she wasn't aware of any issues so far. She did blatantly tell me that she just started digging in 2 days ago, but
Okay.
Not aware of any concerns at this point.
Okay, Claire is saying preliminary full board. I think it was Dave saying preliminary final. What does the board want to do? Please.
I think preliminary final for the full board is a reasonable way to go.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay, let's do that. There are, let's see. It is on preliminary for today and final. So we need to have a motion to continue this, please. Would somebody like to make that?
The agenda
So
is
moved.
conceptual.
The agenda says conceptual, John.
I am looking at item 2, not item 3. I apologize. So there is no motion. I
Yeah.
can't, just like our spiritual leader, the planner, I also can't read today.
Yeah. So I'm just recommend that when it returns,
John,
comes
Yes.
back for preliminary final,
Okay,
full board.
final full board, item number 3.
Right.
Thank you all. Thank you, Megan.
Perfect. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you. Item number 4, 1890 Jalinda Drive. Dara, are you here, please?
I am. Thank you. Good afternoon. I also have Diana Kelly with me. Should there be any questions that I can't answer?
Okay, I have reviewed this letter. The Ennisbrook has given it conceptual approval, so we could just move past that.
Okay.
All right, terrific. Thank you. So I want to start just at the beginning. As you mentioned, I did meet with the Ennisbrook Design Review Board. They have their own set of architects and landscape designers and community members, and they did provide approval. We went back and forth and considered all the questions that they had. This is, as I said, it's in the gated community of Ennisbrook. It's off of Jalinda. If we could go to the 0.1 slide first. I just want to first start with the, before we get to the pictures, just to take note of the FAR study, which is, yes, please, thank you. We're, with our proposed additions and changing a little bit of the floor plan, which I'll explain why in a second, we're at the 91.7 number. This is a very large property in Ennisbrook. It's almost 3 acres. It's a beautiful piece of land that enjoys both ocean and mountain views. And that's where it's located, right off Jalinda. If you go to page 2 of that, you'll get a sense of what the house is. So the house, fortunately and unfortunately, has had 2 owners. And the prior folks lived out their days there and were a bit sick. And unfortunately, the house is in a little bit of disrepair. For example, we already have a roof permit and we're redoing the whole roof. Exactly the same as it is, but it's leaking and all the stucco has water damage and whatnot. So unfortunately, there's a very long laundry list of maintenance that needs to be done on this property. But that's what the property looks like. It is somewhat flamingo pinkish, and which is something that the Design Review Board is eager to have go away. It's not terribly visible from the street, which when I get to the next slide, if you'll go to the next page 3, as you know, it's a private road inside the gated community. The bottom left picture under the existing Jalinda conditions is, yeah, the top left one is what you see, this driveway. The property goes north and it goes on quite a bit of a slope up, so it's not really visible from really, except for, all you see is these gates. As you can see, the house looks dated, is dated, doesn't really work so well with sort of our modern indoor-outdoor living. It was originally conceived as a sort of a, I'm going to use the word banquet hall. As you can see, the interior, the bottom right picture is a very, very large interior space, sort of in for galas, that kind of thing. And the reason that we're proposing the remodel, as we'll get to the next slide on the floor plans, wait, actually stay here first for a second, if you don't mind. This is what we're proposing, and this is what the Design Review Board approved. Just a little bit more quiet, a little bit more modern. The inspiration images are on the right, just to make it seem a little bit less dated, a little bit, all the doors and windows are completely rotted, in complete disrepair, so they all need to be, unfortunately, replaced. The wood is wet, flaking, coming apart. And so that's what we're kind of looking for, the vibe on the right, a little bit more Mediterranean, a little bit less 80s pink flamingo. So that's where we're kind of trying to move the palette. If we go to the floor plans, which I think is the next slide. No, the next one, sorry, I'm sorry. You can see that particularly the west side of the house, you can see the very big entrance hall in the middle that we looked at previously. The west side of the house is just uncomfortable. That's on the left side of the screen if you're looking. There's no real family room, no area. But what it really particularly doesn't have is overhead area to eat outside. So when we get to the new proposed floor plan, we're proposing really to change this left side of you'll see the elevations when we get there, but we're proposing to make it a little bit more current so that people could eat outside and more have an indoor-outdoor lifestyle. I think we can move on to the next slide. Can you hit the next one? Do you mind? I don't know if I can do it.
You can't do it, but I'm going one at a time. You just got to tell me.
Okay, I'm sorry. So as I can't see it. Okay, so this is still existing. Maybe let's go to 3.12 if you don't mind, because that really shows the elevation, what you would see should you be able to see it from the road, what you would see. You can't see it from the road, but so 3.12 shows the very top is what currently exists. And the one below it is what we're proposing. And really what we're doing is on the top, what we're proposing is on the top. I don't know if you can see, there's sort of this, is just to bring it out to the sort of, it has a small covered area to bring it out a little bit. So that gives some shade and some outdoor area to the kitchen. That's currently the kitchen area. And to make the left side just much, and just much more modern so that it could open up to it has this very, it has currently, as you see, it both has rectangular and arched windows. So it's within that vernacular, but we wanted to make that room on the left, add the loggia and make it just a little bit more gracious and comfortable to be in. It's currently long and narrow and just isn't very comfortable and doesn't really take advantage of the beautiful views. So that's what we're proposing. As I said, it's on almost 3 acres. It's not close to the FAR for this property, which really could enjoy quite a bit more. It's very big, the land. And as I mentioned, we are proposing also a new car garage. What we wanted to do is take part of the current existing garage and use that as like a bonus room or workout room, something that where people could enjoy. The house really suffers from, some more intimate, usable space, and there's plenty of room should somebody need another, additional storage. It doesn't really have a lot of storage or garages, so that's what we're proposing. And
Daryl, would you please explain the garage on the site plan, please?
Yes. So currently,
thank you, John. I was going, where the hell is this garage?
Oh, I appreciate that. Sorry. So the design review, let me just also back up and give a little bit of history. The current garage is exactly where we're proposing the garage to be. Do you see where the new little building is right across from the front door? Exactly there, in exactly the same style, the same stucco, the same roofing as the house. And the design review board wanted us to study whether that would be the best location or whether to add the existing, just build out the existing structure a little bit to the left of it, so it's more in that H structure. And they were also fine with putting it on the entirely south part of the property, but that didn't seem very convenient. So we did study that. We have to go to the fire department to see which configuration they would prefer. But we were proposing it to be adjacent to the house, same, either this location or to the left, depending on what the fire department says, and in exactly the same vernacular as the house with the arched, openings.
And would you please explain how a car would come into that garage and how guests would come into this project starting at Jalinda and driving up, please. David, you're going to have to move out just a little bit on the plan.
Absolutely, it's a good question. So the gate that you see right there is the existing gate, the one I showed you on the first bottom left of the inspiration, the existing images. And the current driveway is just as it's outlined, just there, exactly, thank you. And there's ample room to get in and out of there. If you turned that garage and made it on 90 degrees, which was one of the other proposals that the design review board was fine with, depending on what the fire department said. This one provides symmetry across from the front door, but if you turn it on 90 degrees and just added it to the existing wing that has the garage right to the left of where it is, that was a fine option too. There's quite a large motor court, as you saw from the aerial views. So a car would come in, it's no problem for a car to get in, and it goes right around the corner, and that's how it would get into the garage. Currently, let me just add one more thing. Currently, the garage openings are on the west side, so you actually drive between those. Exactly. That's where the current garage openings are. So one idea was to, just extend it 1 or 2 banks further and do it that way.
David, questions?
Diane, is there anything you want to add that I missed?
Yes, I want to interject that the proposed additions to the house are going into the areas that were covered loggias. So as you can see here, they're hatched with a diagonal hatch on the left side. So it's the same footprint of the existing house, but it's enlarging the family room, the kitchen, and the master bathroom to make it more useful inside. So, and then the hatched area near the existing garage on the west wing north, that hatched area, that's the converted area from two parking spots in that 3-car garage, leaving one there as a multi-purpose room they could use, or as another garage. So I just wanted to state that. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
Are you done now? I apologize for interrupting.
Please
No, I thank you.
Okay, David, questions?
I don't have any questions at this point. Thanks.
Sam, please.
So am I understanding that we're coming in the driveway and we see the side of what is the new garage coming at it? And then we have to turn around it, get into a guest parking spot, and then maybe go around it again and get to another garage. So you're gonna have 2 garage spaces, this new independent detached building, and then possibly 1 or 2 places in the existing garage, correct?
Correct. Well, one existing, and the entrance would be on the other side. So it may look tight on the drawing. It's very spacious.
And then your trellis structure in the back is showing plaster columns to kind of tie into the theme of the house with wood on the top or plaster on the top. Is that
columns?
What kind of columns,
There are
Diana?
stone columns
Stone
currently
columns,
at the
okay.
covered loggias. So hopefully we could reuse those. If not, there'll be another stone. So in between those arched doorways on the left and the existing elevation, south elevation there, those
Right.
are all stone. And we could capture those, pull them outward to become this trellis with
Yeah.
heavy timber.
You'd utilize those. Okay, that
Yes.
was it. Thank you, John. Those are all my questions.
Don Sharp, please.
Thank
Questions?
you. Go back to the site plan, would you please?
Thank you. Yep, site plan, yep. Okay.
That's okay. Have you been to the fire department yet to get their opinion?
We just started talking to them and we haven't gotten them. This may not work. It may not have a large enough. So in that case, we would flip it the 90-degree way and have it just as an extension of the existing one, if that would be okay with the board. But we haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay, and that center portion opposite the center line or by the center line, that's all paving in there?
Yes, if you look at the PDF number 2, please, Dave. Dave. Thank you. There, the lower photos show the huge paving of the motor court there. There you go.
Which, by the way, we are going to propose on, when we get to the next level to make that gravel. It's a lot of pavers. It's very monotonous. So,
And that's the whole
but as you can see, it's a big motor court.
Okay.
The driveway is all pavers as well. And
no further questions. Thank you.
Tip.
I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Claire.
Yeah, I do have I have a couple of questions. And I think Mr. Sharp hit on one, because my question was going to be, have you been to the fire department? So my recommendation is that you get that done sooner than later. And then I don't know, Diane, whether you can tell me where the driveway comes in and we're gonna have to turn and go into the garage now. Do you know what the, from the corner of the house on the drawing to, yeah, right there. Okay. Oh, here we go.
Yes. I enlarged those. I made them as wide as I can.
20. So that's what
garage.
right there is what it was 21 inches. That's what I was trying to get to because I couldn't read the drawings. Okay. So that was my question. And
on both sides.
It's 21 inches.
On both sides of the garage front.
Okay. Okay. Well, go back to my original recommendation was that you need to meet, because I don't think the fire department's gonna like that.
We're working with them.
Yeah. So get that done before you come back.
I get the sense. I think it's an excellent comment.
Dara, we're on questions, please. Okay, I have some questions, please. Can we see the south elevation, please? The top drawing has a significant amount of symmetry and classical design. The lower, if you could zoom out a little, the lower drawing basically throws that away and says, the heck with it, who cares? And I'm wondering, from a purely architectural standpoint of view, just getting down to what is architecture, et cetera, why you believe the proposed solution is a equal to or superior architectural solution to what's existing above from an exterior point of view, please.
That's a great question. So, and it's one, we discussed with the design review board there. I think the reason we would say that it's that it's a better solution is because it still does carry the same rectangular ideas. I see what you're saying, and we did mirror it somewhat on the we're trying to play with what is existing, but in the elevation, you don't really get a sense of the depth. And one thing that it is currently, even though it may be more symmetric, it's very flat. And so adding this more modern element with some overhang gives us a lot more shadowing and a lot more depth and a lot more interest. So, and a lot more indoor outdoor usable space. So that's why I would propose, I think on an elevation, obviously it's very flat, but in real life, I think it will be a much improved dimensionality that this house really lacks.
And as a corollary to my first question, if the solution for the proposed house elevation south on the left-hand side is superior, why do you not incorporate that into the lower right-hand side of that same elevation if it's a superior solution?
The existing one, if you go to the existing pictures, they are not actually exactly the same because the west side of the house they're actually a little bit different. Can you see? Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. It actually is a little bit different. I think the house is a little bit longer on the west side, and the right side doesn't have that these three column things that you see under the oak tree, sort of on the left.
Well, you haven't answered the question. The question is, if a flat rectangular pane of doors and windows is a superior solution on the left-hand side, why is it not also a superior solution on the right-hand side?
Well, it actually might be. One issue is cost, but really the right side is the master bedroom, so it really could benefit. Either way would be fine, but it could benefit from that for sure. But it doesn't have the same sort of, it's a bedroom, so it's the primary bedroom, so it darkness and privacy are more sought after in a bedroom. We could certainly study that. I would certainly be open to that.
Plus,
it's cost, of course, but you don't really experience the house from. I don't have a good answer. That's definitely a possibility. Diana, do you have a better answer?
yes, you've left the covered loggia at the master bedroom, so we've left that alone. And
Right.
we just
No,
didn't
I
replicate the
understand
changes
what
at
you-
the family room where there was an addition. So we have left the covered loggia for both the master bedroom and that's the existing. So they are equal now. They're symmetrical. The whole house, you can see that in the first elevation. So we simply didn't take away the covered loggia at the master bedroom or the bathroom right to the left of it, but we've made a far better bathroom there with a tub at that new door assembly that you see in that lower flat arched covered loggia. So those are set back there on the right side. And on the left side, they're all forward now, but we've added the covered trellis to give that depth also.
Okay, so we're in questions. Okay, is anybody in the audience attending this meeting like to address the board on 1890 Jalinda Lane, item number 4, please?
John, I don't have anybody.
Okay, I'll close public comment. So now, comments from the board. David, please.
Yes, I'm going to go to the site plan. Did you consider putting the garage in this location by any chance?
That's not, no, because it's a huge drop off. It's not, the tennis court is not on the same plane as the motor court. So that wouldn't be viable.
Okay.
Well, but I wish we could.
Overall, I think the scope and scale and visibility of the project's all fine, the FAR. I just strongly question the practicality of the garage and would encourage you to study the other options that I think you have been looking into. As far as the south side, I just wonder if you could run the trellis and keep the arches to preserve a little more of that symmetry, or look into ways to better integrate this because it's such a departure from the architecture. But if you could imagine this being your trellis and keeping the archway behind it, I don't know if these are pocketing doors or something, but if there was a way to respect the house a little more and not depart so much, it'd be easier for me to support. I'd also question the structural aspects of these spans of the trellis. That's a really long span and does not look typical of this style of house. It's more of a steel trellis or something. So I think in general, what you're proposing is fine. It's just the details that in my mind need to be worked out.
Sam?
Well, I agree. I think the new proposed garage, well, I'll start with the elevations there. I have similar comments that were voiced by Dave in terms of the balance. This is such a symmetrical design. The arches are quite romantic in their essence throughout. And then you have the tying together elements that are horizontal and have a normal plate or a high plate. But I really feel like if you were to incorporate this new addition and its function into an indoor-outdoor relationship that you say you really don't have, you could study maybe different ways than coming out from long, flat headers in a room of that scale and volume. So it feels out of junk with the rest of the project on the south side. And I'm not sure without the arches how you're going to make that tie in And then as far as the site plan and the garage kind of sitting plunked in the middle and you have to, you know, S-turn around it and S-turn around it again, it just seems very out of place to me. It seems like there should be a more formal arrival, a more, you know, respected kind of centerpiece. Right now, you're kind of encroaching on that. So I agree, maybe studying it further to the west somehow, approaching the garages from the big motor court, adding some planting to kind of soften it so it looks like it has some charm as you arrive in that motor court. I think there's some drama to the scale of the motor court with that in there. I think the fire department's first of all going to have a problem, but I don't know that. But I certainly would feel awkward coming into that property and not knowing where to park as a guest. If you park anywhere in that motor court as a guest, you're not going to allow anybody to really get in and out of the garage very easily. So I'd ask you to restudy that a little bit and make it a little more traditional than maybe this solution.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Thank you.
Sam, okay, Don, please.
Thank you. Without seeing the property, it's really hard to visualize the changes based on the drawings that we see. But I agree with Sam. I think the vehicular access, that whole issue, combined with the fire department and what they may or may not request, it's really hard for us to assess. Plus, the garage location based on the prior architectural review, I think it's a little premature to give a lot of comment here. Without being cruel here, it appears to me like the existing elevations are what you were trying to get to, and the proposed are what are from. So I think the pergola and contemporary feeling of that whole thing is not necessary. There are other ways to solve those problems. Thank you.
Tip.
Well, I do agree with the comment from Dave and Sam about the garage and the orchards in front. And yeah, it's unfortunate that it turned out that way. But other than that, I have no other issues or comments. Thank you.
Claire?
I wanted to ask a brief question before I make my comments, which was there was a statement that the paving was going to be changed at this entrance courtyard, or where the garage is. Is that correct? Is that all of that paving is coming off the bricks? And what's going to be replaced there?
I think they said gravel, Claire.
Not all of the paving. Certainly that long, it's quite a long driveway, but there's a lot of this non-permeable sort of pavers. It's so we were proposing to add some gravel as the arrival, and I think those are great comments about the garage. I mean, we do need to study that. It probably isn't going to work anyway there.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm not talking about the comments. It was a question. So when you come back, then would you could show us, come back with a plan of what this expanse and which part is going to be gravel, which part's going to be brick, you know, all of that. Okay, then I'm just going to go along with what everybody else is saying. I'm going to ask you to restudy the positioning of the garage. You know, I find this extremely awkward that anybody's going to come up and then have to squeeze into the, you know, a guest, you know, you know, so just restudy that. And then I think the elevation of the front elevation of this house is absolutely lovely. And I think what you're proposing for me with on the west side, I guess it is, with removing the arches is really almost insulting to the previous architect here. You know, I think that whole elevation is particularly lovely. It's really formal. It works with the whole landscaping, the stepping down into the, you know, that's the style of this kind of architecture. And to try to push it into a modern vernacular, for me, doesn't work. So, and then don't go talk to the, please go talk to the fire department before you come back. Okay.
Okay, my turn. What I would like to suggest is that you take, I think the garage is unfortunate. I think we all share that feeling. I think the way to solve that is to take the garage and turn it 180 degrees, flip it all the way around, and attach it to the end of the kitchen wing, so you do not see the garage doors as you approach the property, and perhaps put a small gate there or small wall that you would drive through. That's very typical in some of this architecture. And you have a private motor court in the back that's just for automobiles. Now you're going to need 25 feet from the face of the building to the back of where the parking is, but I think you can get that achieved. Back of the turnout, I think you can get that achieved. I think that then allows you to completely reconsider a far more beautiful landscape entry that's now completely covered with brick. Typically speaking, it has a tree in the middle. It's got some kind of planting around it. That's at least one solution. It's certainly not the only one that's out there. But I think that that would then guide people as to where they can park and not park. It would help guide the fire department. I think it would establish a landscape feel as opposed to an urban feel. And I think that that would solve significant numbers of issues. On the south side, I think you got to get off the middle. You either go all the way towards keeping the west side and using it on the east side, or you need to find a way to maintain that the lyrical quality of the arches on the right side into the left side. I think it's possible. I think it's doable. I think you just have to sit down and figure it out. This looks like a remodel, and I think that that would be unfortunate. It's not necessary. So those are my comments. Is there anybody that wants to say anything else on the way out here? Anybody?
No.
Okay, we are on for conceptual review, so there is no motion. I assume we want to return to the full board on this. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you very much. Good luck with that. I'm sure.
Can I ask a question though? So it's obviously it's a private road in the community and they have their own DRB. What's the best way to navigate these two boards? And do I come to you first? There's been a lot of question as to where this belongs and how to navigate that, and I'd love some guidance.
We're the permitting people. The Ennisbrook has their own board, but you have to be dealing with the county moving forward. So that's why you're here to us.
Right.
So I don't know. I can't tell you how to deal with them. You just need to bring back this project to MBAR, and then it gets moved through the county process. Yeah.
Dara, come in with a superior solution and you will have no trouble with anybody.
Awesome. I appreciate those are great comments. I appreciate that. I really do.
Okay.
We'll be back.
Thank you very much.
We will be back. Okay. Item number 5. Robin, are you here? 811 Romero Canyon Road.
Hi, John. This is Greg Griffin from Shipman Donaldson. Robin is out.
Okay. Greg, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, so we have
this is about
we have some comments on this I think we might want to take a look at. There you go. Thank you. Oh, okay, I'll read them. I'm chairman today. Need more information with site sections and elevations. Need more documentation on impact to trees from expansion of the parking area. Lighting scheme seems excessive in a rural setting. Concrete walls appear out of context with rural setting. Consider using a natural stone. One member does not support current bocce court location. Study alternatives to bocce court location to have it more clustered with existing development. Study landscape screening for bocce court. Greg, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you. If it's okay with the board, I'm going to address these comments a little bit out of order.
Sure.
Beginning, of course, with the architectural stuff, and then we've got Ben with Ground Studio, our landscape team, with us as well. And I'll turn it over to him at some point for the landscape items. So I'm going to start with item 4. Dave, you should have a separate file of site photography.
Photos?
Yeah, photos. Yeah, so sheet 4, if you don't mind. The board in the last meeting had asked for some context on the site, and as it relates to the walls specifically, this is turn on some annotations here. So this is basically the property line between 811 and 817, 817 being the main residence that this board saw a couple of months ago. And as you can see, 811 is primarily open pasture space, grass space. There is, this is a pano, so off to the right, if we could pan over and see more of the right. There are 2 small houses on this property, both of which are kind of tucked up into the trees. And while those 2 residences do have some small kind of boulderish sandstone walls around them for their own patios, it is very unique to the oak tree setting up there. And this open space is really the backyard, so to speak, to the main residence down on 817. So we feel architecturally that continuing the concrete walls as an extension of that main residence into this open space is appropriate and fitting to the overall approach, leaving those little sandstone walls specific to their unique oak tree settings back there. Then if we could go back to the other file, Dave, there's a rendering on sheet L3.26. And I just wanted to show the disposition of those concrete walls relative to the site. As was mentioned last meeting, these walls are small. I don't think any of them exceed 4 feet. And that bottom rendering in particular, you can see how there's landscape at the base of the wall. These are the same board-formed concrete that's being used on main residence. And then landscape at the top of the wall will also spill over. So the approach is really giving dominance to the landscape. The concrete wall is really, subservient in the overall palette up here in the open space. And then if we can go to the site sections, which I believe is the previous sheet, L3.35, we can again see the relative heights of these walls as they sit in the landscape. Some of them quite low, the taller ones, of course, again, not more than 4 feet is being used to create that level pad for the bocce court. We So then transitioning here a little bit to item 1, since we're on the site sections, we did extend this section property line to property line, and even a little further north, you can catch just the corner there of the uphill residence. And these trees, will pop back to the site photo in a minute, but these trees are part of this section. So you're cutting through this small grove of olives and oaks as you look down across this parcel. And it's also worth mentioning, which I know we mentioned a couple of times as part of the main house review, that this house really focused out towards the harbor in a southwesterly direction, not so much due south. So if we just pop back to that image there in the background, Dave, you can, I believe right in here is that uphill north residence. So you can see how well screened, even from way down on the 817 parcel, you can see how well screened they are, which of course, goes in both directions. And then I think the last one I'll touch on before turning it over to Ben is the lighting, which should be after the landscape drawings, I believe. Matt can help me out if you're listening.
Yeah, he's on the right sheet here.
Yep, there you go. So very similar approach to the 817 main residence. We've eliminated rather all of the quote unquote moonlighting that was occurring in the trees. We've reduced the landscape lighting really to pathway lights for purposes of wayfinding, which primarily occur at the steps. So the entire lengths of the pathways are not lit, just those areas where we have steps. The usable spaces, such as the bocce court, the seating areas, are not individually lit. So we have taken a significant reduction on the lighting proposal here. And with that, I think I'll turn it over to Ben.
Is somebody on mute that wants to be talking?
Sorry about that. Yes, this is Ben with Ground Studio. Thank you, Greg, for covering some of those things. I can continue down that list if that works for you guys. The first comment about site sections and elevations, I think we're really well covered. Number 2 was need more documentation on impacts to trees from expansion of parking area. So we could go to sheet L1.15 to take a look at that. Previously, we had an additional wall that has since been removed that was uphill of this new angled wall that has since been removed. We have met with the arborist on site with these plans, and it was indicated that the wall that we're showing here would not negatively impact these trees above. We're meeting native grade on the backside, and there's no additional grading uphill of this wall in order to make it work. Number 3, lighting scheme was covered, as well as number 4. I'd like to address number 5, the bocce court location, and if we could go, I think, back to L3.25 to understand a little bit more the bocce court in the context. You can see that the impact to the grading is very minimal. We have a very short wall on the uphill side, minimal on the downhill side, and really significant amount of planting on either side. Zoom into the lower elevation.
boulders all perked up in that dog bark.
No, it's so funny. Don spends his life dealing with this dog.
We love you, Don. Keep going, Ben, please.
Would you mind zooming into the lower drawing there? You can kind of see a little bit more how the bocce court is being tucked into the landscape. And like Greg mentioned, there's planting above the walls that'll be spilling over and covering it, and then planting below that will come up. And I think in the end, very little of these walls will be seen, if at anything, from a distance. And then the sheet just below that, 3.26, gives you sort of a view of the bocce from a couple of spots. The lower view is from above, just below the existing house. You can see the small seating area here to the right, the pathway that goes down through and connects the two properties. The bocce court is sort of off to the side here, and there's quite a bit of layering and planting that is helping to screen that. And then the drawing above, you can get a glimpse of the bocce court walls over on this side. This is the seating area. So with the addition of the planting we're doing around the bocce court, the screening for the walls, the numerous trees that we're incorporating on the inside, our hope and our aim is to really make this feel like it's well nestled into the landscape and a destination, and not something that's very visible from any other location.
Are you done there?
But I believe I've addressed all of the comments below, and be happy to discuss anything further.
Okay, in questions, Don, you are on mute. I have you number 1. Do you want to pick this up?
Excuse me, John, can I get Ben's last name?
It's Langford, Langford.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, so Don's busy. So Sam, how would you like to get started here?
Yeah, sure, John. I guess I might have missed this meeting previously to
Yes,
see
you
it's
did.
further conceptual. So I should probably let someone who's seen it that brought it back for continuing review to make comments, because mine would start with, why are we even looking at a bocce court? It really doesn't need any permit except for maybe the grading. And it's such a minimal looking piece in the landscape and in the site plan that I'm not sure why we're taking the time to do this. So maybe I should hear from my other board members first.
Okay, to that end, Tip, please.
John, same as Sam, I wasn't at the first meeting.
Okay,
John, you want me to take that one?
Dave, go, man.
I think the reason we asked them for more information, the first time around, they were showing the proposal, but they didn't have the site sections and the renderings. And to my mind, now that we can see, I don't even think the wall heights were really legible in the last presentation, but now that I can see the way the bocce court and the grading and the pathways fit into the site, and the way that they're landscaped, and the views, and the way the landscaping softening things. To my mind, it's alleviated any concerns I have, and I can support the project. And also that you've demonstrated that you have an arborist and you're protecting the oak trees up in that parking area.
Claire, you had a few concerns last time. How are you doing this time?
No, I have no other concerns, actually. I mean, they did came back and what I find interesting is that everything that we listed in the minutes, they've come back to exactly the same plan. And so be it,
Well, I want to apologize to everybody. We just had comments without questions. Got a little out of order. And Don, you were having your friend, taking care of your friend. Did you have any questions on this, please?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, and by requirement of state law, does anybody in the audience have any comments that they'd like to share with the board on 811 Romero Canyon Road, item number 5, please?
Nope,
Okay,
John,
I'll close public comment. We are on for further conceptual. I kind of got out of order here. Are there any further comments that people want to make on this project, please?
I would think that this is very acceptable in all senses to move ahead quickly. It doesn't look like resolving some of your lighting questions and grading and wall heights, and seems like such a simple thing that we could move this to final on consent or preliminary final on consent, because it's only here for conceptual.
I agree.
And so do I. Anybody have an opinion other than that, please?
My own point of view and my own opinion is that, as I said at the first hearing, I think that the walls, you know, although they're consistent with the new house that they're building, are a long way away and should be more natural and stone material to actually settle in to the environment rather than being a structure that's now being built and imposed on this beautiful piece of property. So that's my comment.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, Claire. Is that comment strong enough that you would vote against this project?
I will be, yes, if the rest of the board votes for, I will be voting against the project, period.
Okay,
I just don't think that we need to have, you know, 4-foot walls holding up things in this particular environment, you know, and, you know, that's how I feel about this. I feel like those walls are really an encroachment into, you know, and they're cement walls. And I think they could be built, as I said at the first hearing, out of stone and more natural in their appearance. That's all.
Very good. Does anyone else share Claire's feelings, please? And I do not share your feelings. I think it's a modern house. It's got modern walls. And if this were done on 817 property as opposed to 811 property, I think it's perfectly consistent. And, you know, the truth is this is one property. So, okay, I also believe this should go to preliminary final on consent. So unless I hear otherwise, that's what we shall do. Okay, now we're moving on to item 6. Tip has requested to step out of the meeting from this point on. We do have 5 people here today right now. If he leaves, will everybody be staying on through the end of the meeting, please? Or will anybody else be leaving? Tip, thank you for coming so far.
Hi, Tip.
We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Bye, Tip.
Okay, item number 6, 1491 Edgecliff. Kelly, are you here today, or who's here today?
Zach is here today for the
Zach is here today. Okay.
Howdy.
So, howdy. Okay, so let me read the minutes. One member requests study of alternatives that would pull the structure out of the setbacks. Detailing would be critical. Ensure height of desk is concealed by wall. Ensure structure meets ADA requirements and depicts AC unit and mechanical equipment on plans. One member believes structure appears too contemporary for its setting. Camouflage roof vents with roof structure. So, Zach, please go ahead.
Okay, so last time we did this, the comments weren't too favorable. So we kind of took a step back and rethought about how to fit this into the context of the site and Montecito as a whole. I actually drove around town and took pictures of many gatehouses just to kind of get a sense of what's out there. So yeah, if you go to the next page, this is kind of my study of the neighborhood. So we kind of took this and took these different gatehouses and kind of wanted to elevate it past what each of these is showing, and at the same time, making it charming and fitting into its surroundings. If you look at the fourth photo there, that's kind of the ruins of the old tea garden gatehouse. And you'll probably see that form out of any other of these in our design.
Wow.
So if you go to,
Oh, God.
if you go to the last page, so here you can see it in 3D and in 2D. Before we had a very contemporary structure. It had a flat roof with kind of like a wood trellis. And the board kind of made the comment that it was too modern. So we added a pitched roof and made it a bit more traditional, while at the same time retaining some modern detailing. We've also kind of grounded it into the context by use of the slate roof. The other buildings on this property will also have the same slate roof. So we're kind of blending it in with the other buildings. A couple other comments. So one member said that there are too many materials last time, so we've done that down to pretty much just stone, as is typical of most gatehouses in the community. And that stone also helps us to relate to the existing sandstone columns, which are there now. A couple of minor comments. There was an issue of the desk height not being 30 inches. It was indeed, but I think it was just kind of the perspective was a little off, and the plantings were a little high in the front, so it might have made that wall seem a bit lower than it actually was. And then we've discussed with the owner about HVAC, and all of these windows will be operable. So per code, we're only required to provide heat, which is what the owner would like to do. So the AC question is kind of obsolete. And then the last comment was, could we put it on the other side of the street? Now, if you go to the site plan, next page. Yeah, and if you zoom in there on the gatehouse area. So on the other side of the street, we have a 6-foot retaining wall that follows the road. So first off, it would be a great expense to have to do kind of a, enclosed 3-walled area there, which the owner wants to avoid. And it's also, if we put it there, it actually would not get out of the setback. The setback is actually beyond that, where the edges of the existing house and studio are. So in effect, even if we moved it, it would still be in the setback. And it would also actually be more visible from the Miramar Beach parking lot, because you could kind of see straight from the parking lot into the gatehouse. So I think having it on the north side here kind of nestles it in more and makes it a little bit less obvious. So I'll take it to the board.
Okay, questions? Claire?
No questions.
Sam?
I guess the gate height itself, the top of the arch, and then the section that connects to the columns, what are those dimensions?
The existing sandstone columns?
Well, I'm talking about the actual gate itself. Those are existing sandstone columns, or you're building one to match the other? How high is the actual ironwork?
The sandstone column?
At the column, what does it start at dimensionally, vertically, and what is the top of your arch as well?
I see. That's probably 6 feet at the bottom, and then it goes up to about 9.6 probably. I don't know off the top of my head.
So it equals maybe the top of your sandstone column, which is maybe 9.6.
Yeah, and then the building is, if you go over, we have 10'5" is the max building height.
Okay, that's all my questions, John.
Okay, Don?
Thank you. It bothers me that there's no overhang on both ends of the building, that it's just chopped off. Now, I know that's architecturally correct in a lot of areas, but I think for a gatehouse where the intendant may come out and want to talk or something, that a little overhang or some overhang would be there instead of the eaves being just chopped off at that point. That's all.
Is that a question or a comment?
That's a question. Can that be done, or have you explored that?
So are you saying the eaves on the north and south side?
No, the east and west side.
East and west. So you're essentially saying adding an overhang over the door.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of some kind.
That could definitely be done. We could add a small little zone there that could provide shade. I think it could be, probably a separate element that would attach to that stone piece, not so much the extension of the roof. So we could kind of retain our design, but add a little overhang that pops out.
Thank you.
David?
No questions, John.
Have you done an in-depth review of California Building Code Chapter 11B, Betty?
We have, yes.
Okay, and that's all my questions. Well, actually, I have one more question. Buildings have a use classification, R for residences, S for storage. What is this? What are you anticipating this building to be classified as?
I mean, I imagine this would be an office.
So
it's in a residential
a B
zone,
occupancy.
but it's a commercial building. I mean, it's kind of a gray area a little bit.
So, okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to address the board on item number 6, 1491 Edgecliff Lane, please?
I don't have anybody.
Very good. Thank you. Closing public comment. Comments. Claire, please.
Well, I really appreciate the work that you guys did at your the office, or which person did it, but I much prefer the presentation today than what we saw the last time. And I would agree with Mr. Sharp in that I really do think that door needs something over it, because if it's pouring with rain, if it ever rains, who knows if it'll never rain again, but it would be really great if the guard who's in there, if it's pouring with rain, is going to have to come out and talk to the people in their cars. He doesn't have to be standing in the rain. So I really do appreciate the fact that Mr. Sharp is recommending something to protect that door. And I think that's a good recommendation. And other than that, I think what you proposed here now is really appropriate.
Sam.
Yeah, can you guys hear me? I'm having internet dropout problems. Sorry.
Yes, good.
The question I had was about the ADA compliance that I was hoping to get. Is there a reason that this building, because of the amount of homes on that road, needs an ADA commercial compliance?
Again, it's kind of a gray area. I mean, we have the space to do it, so we've done it. It's technically a commercial building. So I feel like it probably does. And if we have the space, why not? I mean, we showed a smaller bathroom before.
Building,
but I don't know. I mean, I think we're just doing it to kind of be safe here.
Well, I think it's an appropriate looking size and scale. I think it does need cover on that side of some kind over that door.
Is that a question? Is that a question?
It's a comment.
Comments.
Are we making comments?
No,
No, we're in comments.
Oh, I apologize, Sam. This job is harder than I thought it was.
Yeah, it is.
That's why I made my comment.
It is, John. Yeah. I'm going in and out and kind of losing some of my connectivity, but I agree. I'd like to see something over that, that, I guess, east-facing door that allows for a little cover over that door. I appreciate the stone and the materials being used and the slate, and that seems to be tying into the main buildings on the property. I think it's very appropriate size, scale, proportions, but it needs a little bit more detail over that door. That's it.
David.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you responding to our comments from the last round. I wasn't opposed to the previous design, and I'm not opposed to this one as well. I like it. I think you may need to study the detailing a little further to get that slate roof to flush out with those stone bookends. You know, I can support the project the way it is. I don't think it needs some kind of cover over that door. The amount of time going in and out is pretty insignificant in this. But if it looks better, I'm up for it. And maybe you might consider running just the slate roof over the top of those stone walls, tagging on to Don's comment. Not the framing, but just the slate. That might clean things up and make it feel better. But generally, I think it's going in the right direction. I can support it.
And I'm finishing up. Number one, I'd like to talk about the architecture. I think it's nice. I thought the other one was nice. I thought it needed a couple of tweaks, but I thought it was nice. And this one is fine. It's certainly more consistent with the provincial nature of Montecito, but I was not opposed to the other one. I do want to go back, unfortunately, to ADA. It's actually not ADA. It's probably Chapter 11B. You guys, in my opinion, need to get down to the building department. You need to pay for time to have a planning consultation with the building official and figure out what they're going to do to you. There may be an exception for small buildings, which I'm unaware of, but it may be there. If not, you need a 9 by 18 parking place and a 9 by 18 drop-off space. That drop-off space cannot be in a roadway. I don't see how that's going to happen on this project. You need to be able to have a 4-foot minimum width walkway from that parking space into this building that's not in the driveway. And then there are other things that just about a 2-foot depth from the door, the handle side to any obstruction. There are many other little tiny things. Now, I'm not happy that you have to live with this ADA thing or this Chapter 11B. And as I said, maybe there's an exception or a classification or something that will enable you to not have to conform with these requirements. But if it is a B occupancy, they throw it at me every time I do something. I don't know why they're not going to throw it at you. Okay. And it is going to have a very, very serious effect on this building. Perhaps there's a way to classify it so it's not a B occupancy, but I would have to recommend that you do that. Otherwise, you're going to go through the planning commission, come back, get us, and the building department's going to throw the book at you. So if there's a way to get around that, please do it. If not, let's figure out where you want to go with that. So there are
finding a way to make an accessory use of the residence.
Yeah, something. Okay. There are specialists called accessibility specialists in the state of California. You can find them on one of the search engines. And what you're looking for is capital C, capital A, capital S, small p. That's just like AIA. This is, CASP. They are available for hire. They might be able to help you out. But I think David's right. If you can find some kind of an accessory use that's part of the main structure, then you're going to get where you want to go. If this is classified as a B, I think you're not going to get it. So anyway, those are my comments. I do like the building. Good luck. And where do we want to go with this, guys? Because he's got to get to the planning commission, but is he ready to go there or not? With our comments?
Maybe with our comments, is it enough?
I think it is.
Let him.
I'm ready to let him go architecturally. I'm just scared that the site plan and everything else is going to get thrown out. So should we just let this go? And if they get in trouble with this,
John, are you thinking that if we just let it go to the planning commission, the planning commission is not going to like the siting of this building? Is that what you're saying?
no,
They're not going to get into the ADA.
We're not going to get into the ADA, but if he gets all of the approvals and he gets the book thrown at him, like I get it thrown at me, this building's going to change. And I'm trying to make sure that he knows where he's going.
Okay, yeah, this whole ADA thing, I never have to, well, I do.
Yeah.
Paper, but,
So Zach, what do you want to do? Do you want to come back here? Do you want to take your chances with what you've got? What do you want to do?
Well, I mean, I think we should, definitely speak with the building department before we do anything. But I think that's kind of separate from MBAR. So it sounds like we have the support of MBAR. So if I can confirm with building that, we can do what we're proposing, then I feel like we're ready for the planning commission.
Okay, so would somebody like to summarize what I think are positive comments on this for the planning commission? Do you want me to do that?
Yeah. Yeah, you can do that, John.
Yeah, that would be great, Sam. But here's the question: can't we just give this preliminary?
It's got to go to the planning commission. Kimberly, can we grant this an approval before it goes to the planning commission?
I believe you can. Your preliminary action is appealable.
Does this need to go to the planning commission?
Well, because it's a coastal development permit with hearing, and it typically goes to the zoning administrator, but the Montecito does not have a zoning administrator, so it has to go before the planning commission, who acts as the zoning administrator on this case.
Willow?
Kimberly, this is Willow. Yeah, so this is a variance because it's in the front setback. So it's also going to the planning commission for that.
For the variance,
It's only agendized for further conceptual today.
Okay, so we need to add the variance case number to the agenda as well.
So we couldn't give it preliminary yet.
Oh, we can't give it preliminary. Okay, fine.
Okay, so Willow, does this require us to give it a preliminary approval before it goes to planning commission or not?
Just the positive comments would be enough for the planning commission.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Sam.
Okay.
Sum it up.
Sam, do you want to do it or you want me to do it?
I want John to do it. Go ahead.
Okay. The board is favorably disposed to this project, feeling that because of the nature of the immediate surroundings, that the proximity to the setback is not a concern to this board. The board feels that the architecture is well designed, appropriately sized, and has character that reflects the nature of our community. Okay? Anything else, guys, you want to throw it in?
Sounds good, John.
Okay, so good luck with that. Please, for your own sake, get to the building department.
Thank you.
So Don Sharp, this is my little buddy. He came in to help.
Oh, good.
He's not so little. He's not alone. He heard your dog bark and he jumped all over.
I know.
So John,
Yeah.
John,
Yes.
so it's returning When it returns, it will come back.
For preliminary final after planning commission.
Thank you. Full board.
And if there are significant changes at the building department, it should come back first, but.
Full
Okay,
board.
let me ask you something a little odd here. We have what I think is a fairly simple, quick project, number 8, and we have something that I think is going to take a little longer, number 7. Is it acceptable to the applicant for number 7 that we just take a quick look at 8, or would he like to maintain the order of the agenda, please?
My wife might not appreciate this, but I'll let them go ahead.
Chris, can you make this a very quick presentation, please?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, very quick, please. Item number 8, 307 Meadowbrook.
Finished, thank you.
Can't hear you.
Oh, I
Turn
said,
up your volume, Chris.
facetious, I said I'm finished, thank you. John asked for a quick presentation. Yeah, have a look at the elevations.
John, you want to go over the comments
Yes,
from the last?
architectural style of guest house does not relate to the main residence. Consider head and sill detailing to make the sandstone more traditional in appearance. Nice project, provide FAR calculations, verify height, allowance with planner, and clearly depict height with existing grade consistent with ordinance requirements. Chris, please.
Just address those, Chris, and then we'll be done.
So we've been through planning review and all is good. And the one change we've made to be a little more compatible with the main residence is that now only the basement lower portion of the building is stone, the upper portion is plaster. And sheet A4, I believe it's A4, shows that quite well.
Thank you for the end of your presentation. Okay, excuse me for being this way, Chris, but you know, I just did you a favor. Okay, so are there questions from Claire?
No.
Sam?
No.
Don?
No.
Dave?
No.
And I do not either. Is there anybody in this meeting that would like to address the board on item 8, 307 Meadowbrook, please?
I have
Seeing
a
none.
question here, John.
Thank you very much. Are there
John?
comments? Yes.
Yeah, I do actually have a question. I think in the minute it said something about the FAR study. Has that happened now?
Yes.
Where is it, please? I didn't see it. I don't remember.
Oh, there it is. Fine, there it is.
Can
Okay,
we see
fine.
it?
Perfect.
92.
Yeah.
Okay, comments, Claire?
No further comments.
Sam?
We seem to all be hovering around.
What a beautiful
Sam.
little building. I like it.
Don?
Very nice.
Dave?
Yeah, I like what you've done with the building. It's a real improvement.
And I concur. I would like to make a motion for preliminary approval with the applicant to return with detailing appropriate for the scale of this project. So eaves, windows, the full shot, Chris. So preliminary only. Is there a second for that motion, please?
I'll second it.
Can't we make a motion for preliminary with final on consent?
Yes, final on consent, excuse me.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
on consent. Is there any further discussion?
Nancy, you seconded it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Chris.
Clear my-
Okay, thank you. Item number 7.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, so
And
item
on-
number
They
7,
require,
Montecito Water District.
I'll be right back, John. I'll be right back once you get started.
Okay.
Sharon, yeah, sometimes Sharon can bail me out with that stuff too.
Kimberly, your
Kimberly,
mic's on.
turn off your mic, Kimberly. Thank you.
Very sorry.
Okay, no problem. Okay, solar panels likely the biggest aesthetic impact. Specify on each site the proposed color for equipment and conduit to match color of base structure. Radio unit should be a light gray to blend with sky. Site visit to each location is appropriate, which we did do today. Study ways to lower height of facilities and or equipment to utilize surrounding foliage to minimize visibility. Appreciate site location selected in minimizing effects to residential neighborhoods. Adam, I think you're up.
Yeah, thanks, Chair Watson. Good afternoon, members of the board and members of the public. I am Adam Kanold. I'm the Assistant General Manager here at Montecito Water District and the project manager for their smart meter program. I also have several consultants on the phone if more technical questions come up. But as far as my presentation today, Chair Watson, I was wondering, my plan was to briefly go through each of the sites again to highlight the things that have changed for previous comments and obtain comments. That's okay.
Yep.
So if we could open the PDF that is at the top, 7/15/21 site visit. Oh wait, actually, sorry, hold on. Sorry, MBAR 7/15 project presentation down there.
Adam, can I interrupt here? Can I interrupt here, please?
Yep.
Is there anybody in the audience that's going to want to address this board on any one, several, or all of these installations being proposed? Is there anybody that would like to address the board, please?
John,
Yes.
you know, I'm going to run downstairs and look on my computer because I did have a handful of attendees.
Okay.
And I've only had one person pop in and pop out this entire meeting, and that scares me a little bit.
Okay, could you go and do that while Adam makes a presentation?
Yeah, thanks.
Adam, three of us made, Claire, John, Sam, and Dave made the site visit today. So I think we're familiar with it. Can you just, I think the smart thing to do is to go through each one in the same order that we went through before. Let's get it up. I think I'm going to blend comments and questions, or questions and comments at this, and just try to move through each one of them separately. Okay.
Good idea, John. That's great.
That sounds great. Can we open the PDF that's titled MBAR presentation? It has today's date on it. Down there. MBAR 7/15/21.
In the site visit locations map?
No, down at the bottom, let's see. Just below La Vereda. Yep.
Right. Okay.
Thank you. Just as a quick start, we did have a comment last time to get a letter of support from Burnham Wood, which we did obtain for the pole that's going on their property. David, if you don't mind, just kind of scrolling through the presentation, it'll be in the same order we did last time, and I can go relatively quick. And there's more below that same PDF.
So I'm sorry, say that again.
The same PDF. There was more below that.
Oh, there was more to it. I'm sorry.
So everything's in this one PDF.
68 pages.
Oh, okay.
So this is the project overview map. The board has seen this. I would note that we've added one site, so there's 10 total, not 9 that were reviewed last time. The additional site is NPI 8, which is in the middle near the Hot Springs Triangle. And I'll cover that one shortly. So the next page, please. So our color material and sample board, this is the same as last time, but with a few notes. The collector and antenna and enclosure that you see in the upper left, the district understands the board's desire to have those colors be a lighter gray tone. We've looked at that and reviewed Benjamin Moore colors. And so we're actually going with a Pebble Beach color. I'm not sure if you can see my screen here. It's just the PDF doesn't quite do it justice, but what we are proposing is called Pebble Beach, and that's the color that's at the top of my screen. If you see my screen.
No, we're not looking at your screen. You're looking at our screen.
Right. So when we get to the visual sims, Pebble Beach will be on there, and I'll show you which color that is. But it's essentially a lighter tone than that 1600 that's at the top there.
Okay. There was discussion today. Let's deal with color. It's going to be a global comment probably, except maybe in 1 or 2 places. Are there any questions from members of the board about what they're proposing on color?
Well, okay, yeah, my question is okay, I see all these here, but I mean, there's blue and then there's 1, 2, 3 grays. But on the site visit, oh, here it is, right, I have it right here. I have the sheet that you gave us. And on this sheet, we've got Paper White, Pebble Beach, Silver Lake, Marina. Which of these, is it Pebble Beach that you're proposing?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's correct. Okay. So
So is that your question?
is that, I
Are
thought,
there any, yeah, are there any other questions as long as we're in questions on color?
Yes, John, the arm that holds the solar panel, are you proposing to paint that in the gray or to leave it to stainless steel?
Yeah, great question. We are proposing to leave it stainless steel because, as you can see in the visual sim that's on this page, the stainless steel bracket is hidden behind that solar panel on the top bar of the solar panel. And then there's a smaller one that's underneath it, but they're pretty hidden from that solar panel. So we're not proposing to paint it.
Any other questions, please?
Is that David arm also the stainless, or could it be colored?
Correct. David arm, we're proposing to leave stainless.
So the bracket, the David arm, and the panel would all be stainless as you proposed it. Got it.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else, questions, anybody else? Okay, Claire, comments on color, please. Claire?
well, for me, I think that we, from my point of view, I think that we should, that the colors may need to change per site rather than having one color throughout use for everything, and in some cases, I think the color needs to be all in more in brown than in the gray tone. So that would be my comment, is that I think the colors need to change per the site, given the site visit that we had today, that just having one color called out I know it's more difficult for you guys, water department, but I think that the colors need to change based on like the pipe going up this, like the wood thing, the wood color right there, the wood on this, what I see in front of me, there's a wood post, now I think that if we're going to put a gray pipe on that post, I think that we should paint that gray pipe brown. What I'm trying to get to.
Are there any other comments from board members, please, on a global scale?
Can you clarify? My understanding was that the pipe that's mounted to the wood poles was going to be painted brown.
That is correct.
So
Oh, God. Okay, well then I'm sorry, I missed something then. Okay.
And the box and the collector, the enclosure and the collector are going to be painted gray. Solar panel is the color that it is, and then the one question is the bar holding up the solar panel, and that's either stainless or it could be painted gray. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, we're proposing to keep it stainless, but per Claire's comment, the electrical conduit that's gray there would be painted brown to match the pole.
So Claire, do you still feel that we need to address colors at each specific?
No, now that I understand that I thought what they were proposing here was the electrical conduit was going to be the color that we show on the color board, that was going to go on the brown pole. And so now you've clarified that, I'm fine.
And what color was the enclosure, everybody, please?
That will be Pebble Beach as well.
What is Pebble Beach? Is that a gray color?
That's gray.
It's the second gray color they proposed when they brought the color sheet.
They gave us a sample, yeah.
Okay.
So I have a question.
Yes, please.
Thanks, John. So Claire brings up an interesting comment as I reflect on the different sites. So if in fact we wanted to have, say, the enclosure box, which we saw was white in the field, to match the gray tone of Pebble Beach in the right spot where it seems like that might blend with the sky or the backdrop, or that would be one way we could approach it. So I can see where her individual site idea comes together, because then I take myself up to Westmont and I look at the black poles that we had to deal with, that they're going to mount it on the very far west side of the stadium, the baseball field. If that enclosure box was black, it might disappear more than if it was Pebble Beach up on a big, tall, black pole. And then in another setting, it might be better if it's brown so that it matches the pole and kind of disappears to the backdrop. So I was originally thinking that it might be.
Don, we just lost you.
Well, I
Sam,
think where he's
Sam, we
going
just lost you.
is that the box that we saw that was white, in my opinion, those boxes should be brown, kind of the color brown of wood, not a bright white or gray. I think the boxes need to be brown.
Okay, I'd like to, Willow Brown and Kimberly McCarthy, would you please unmute yourselves? Willow, okay, I believe that between the two of you, you should create a matrix that's 10 rows deep with 3 columns. The first column will be called the collector, which I think is always going to end up gray, but we will determine that. The second column is called the conduit, and the third column is called the enclosure. Can you guys do that? And as we go down through these, we'll just specify the colors. Would that be acceptable to you, please?
Absolutely.
And
Kimberly, do you want me to do it, or
Yeah,
and I
we
can
can
send
both
it
do
to
it
you?
and compare notes. You're probably faster than I am though. So yes, let's try to both do it.
Okay,
Sorry,
so
John, I
Sounds
dropped
good.
off.
that's okay, Sam. Okay, so thank you.
Could you
both.
repeat the rows one more time?
Collector, that's the little radio antenna itself in the upper left-hand corner. The next one is the conduit. That's shown on the right-hand side of this drawing that's up. And the third one is the enclosure. That's the box.
That's the white box, right?
That's the white box.
Okay,
Now,
sounds good.
do we need a fourth one, which is the divot arm or the stainless steel, or are we going to let them have what they want?
They can have that.
Well,
Is that okay?
I think they should all tie together. If we can get them to all be uniform and all those colors, including the brackets and the davit arm, all uniform, then we're going to have this thing consistent and disappear the most.
Okay, so then I guess it's, we need a fourth column, Willow and Kimberly, that's going to be called the Davit, D-A-V-I-T, new word arm, A-R-M, and we'll go and deal with that. Okay, let's do item number 1, please, or whatever it's called. Number 1, site number 1, please.
Do I stay on this PDF?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks. Thanks. Yeah. So site number 1 is the new site, which is actually, we refer to it as site number 10, but this is Hot Springs Road at Montecito. And this will be a existing frontier pole, and the district is proposing. So Board Member Mendro, if you wouldn't mind just kind of scrolling through the site. Yeah, perfect. As we talk about these. So the district is proposing a new solar panel, mounting bracket, and collector at this site, all up at a height of 30 feet on an existing pole that would not need to be replaced or changed. So on the visual simulation there, you can see the equipment, and the Pebble Beach color is the second from the top. We like this pole. We did talk in the field at the site visit today about possibly using the frontier pole to the south of the creek. We do like this pole better. As far as coverage for our customers and reading it more meters, this pole is better off than the pole to the south of the creek. While not a huge change, it is slightly better, which we confirmed with our radio company. This pole also is adequate height. The one to the south of the creek is not. So we would have to, spend more money to upsize the pole on the south side of the creek. That's it for this site.
Questions, please. Anybody?
and then the back of the solar panel is going to be the Pebble Beach color, right?
We
Or
are not.
No, it's gonna be stainless.
Oh, it's going to be stainless. Oh, okay. So
Okay, so
there's no box here, in other words.
There is a box.
There's everything is here.
I have,
Where's the box on the pole? I don't see it.
The box is behind the solar panel. It may be.
Got it. And that is, as you're proposing, that box is going to be white, right?
We were proposing Pebble Beach, but we are open.
okay, I have a question. On Para Grande, you said to us you were prepared to put a new pole in. Is there a way to put a new pole in on this site, given that it's probably the most visually intrusive installation that you're proposing?
Adding a new pole to me seems like we would be going backwards. We're using an existing pole here. We're only adding the solar panel collector and enclosure. If we add a new pole, you now have not only a new obstruction in the right of way, but a new large pole along with the rest of your equipment.
Okay, so that's your opinion. I asked you a question. Is it possible to put one in, please?
We would have to look at specific locations. There are setbacks from Frontier lines and Edison lines. The west side of the road likely wouldn't work because of the high powered Edison lines. So the east side, we could take a closer look at.
Okay, so let me ask a question of the board. It's my opinion, as an opinion, that this is the most intrusive visually installation. Do other people agree with me or not? And if they do agree with me, should we ask them to make other proposals for this, please?
I mean, it's okay to start.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
So I liked in this location, I liked the pole to the south of it. We discussed that. You mentioned that, Adam, as being one that you'd have to raise, or you'd have to put a new pole in to get the height correct. But it seemed better to me here, or it was more hidden and adjusted into existing oak trees, not as much of a solo installation up in the air all by itself. It tied into something. So that would be my preference. If we could explore either the extension or a new pole in the further south location. I think you did mention that it's not as good a coverage. If it's taller and higher as you need it to be, would it take care of that? Because the other one was shorter. So I'm wanting it to be a little more discreet, like you are, John. Possibly not in this location, maybe further south where it's hidden in the planting that's existing in that off the road right away area.
Claire, David?
Well, that would be my preference. I mean, forget about color. I mean, that's just as sitting. It doesn't matter what color it is or gets painted. It's just, the solar panels that are being proposed, or what the problem that I'm having with all of the project is just the solar panels. I mean, they're so visually obstructing. It's like, the community is already, trying to get rid of all of the cell sites, and now the community is going to see these solar panels and they're just going to go, oh my God, what is that? And so I think it would be appropriate to try to move this site.
Dave Metro, Claire, mute yourself. Dave?
Yeah, I too prefer moving it to the south location and either replacing that other pole with a taller one. Ideally, I think it'd be less impactful.
So Willow and Kimberly, I want to apologize. You need one more column, and that column is going to be restudy. So this one falls into the restudy column. I agree. I think let's just go to the next one. I don't hear any support from anybody for this. Item number 2, please.
All right.
Where's 2? Is that the water
Yes.
district?
Yeah, if we can scroll down. This is all the hot springs. Yeah, okay, here we go. So this site is at the district office. This is the first site we were at here. This is an existing 50-foot pole. We are just adding the collector and conduit to this site.
Does anybody have any problems with this project on this site?
No.
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 And we're gonna go with a gray collector. And do you need any conduit running up this?
Yes, correct. There is a
Okay.
schedule.
Okay, so we need a conduit, it's not gonna be brown, I know that much. Can you match that dark green color of that pole?
Absolutely. I already did. It is a deep sea green.
Okay, so Willow and Kimberly, did you get that deep sea green? And the enclosure, do you need an enclosure?
No enclosure for this site.
Okay, is there any other comment about this, please?
So I guess the other comment, would we keep the davit arm and the bracket, in this case, the Pebble Beach, or would we let it stay stained?
There's no solar on this.
No solar panel here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
That's not a problem. Any public comment here? Okay, item number 3, please. Site number 3, please.
Okay, the next site is at Westmont Baseball Field. This is an existing 35-foot black baseball field pole. And we would here be installing the Pebble Beach collector. The Pebble
Are you
Beach.
sure we're not on Padero Lane?
I don't think
Florida
we're
Grande?
Need to scroll
I
down.
need to scroll through this to get to that one.
Yeah, correct.
How about we go by the address and then I can just do it from these because I don't know where they are otherwise. Or you got to tell me what page on the PDF.
You can keep scrolling down the PDF.
Let's do them in order. Right there. Let's do them in the order that you
That's
have it
what I was
put in
trying
here.
to
Yeah.
955, this one.
Oh,
Okay.
Westmont, okay.
Westmont. Okay, Adam, does anybody have any problem with the installation on the far west vertical support, please? Okay, so, and.
No, because
therefore-
here, just a
Yes,
question,
Claire.
John, is at the bottom of the pole, not all the way to the bottom, but is that the solar panel?
Correct.
Okay, and then behind that is the enclosure, which shows white on the photo that I'm seeing. Can we get that a darker color?
We could make that black to match the pole if you would like.
That'd be great.
Perfect.
Okay, so collector gray, Willow and Kimberly, collector gray, conduit black, enclosure black.
Yeah.
Everybody okay with that? Any other comments?
I prefer the stainless with the solar panel, the brackets, because then it just matches the solar panel. But if everybody feels.
Yeah, no, that's okay with me too, is to leaving the stainless.
Okay, but I didn't say anything about that. I said the conduit running up and the enclosure. So you, as a general rule, 100% of the time, are we going to accept the stainless on the solar collector, everybody?
That's
I think it's okay. Yeah.
Don, do you have a comment? Claire?
Yeah, no, that's fine with me leaving that stainless.
Okay, so.
It's just the white box I want to get painted. That's all I'm after, getting the.
Different colors. Yeah, different colors to match the setting.
In the column for Westmont, the enclosure will be black. Okay, next, please. Next.
So I'm looking. So the next one's the 360 Hot Springs, right?
Sure. Actually, sorry, we've already done that one.
We did Hot Springs. So then we jumped to Hill Road. That's the Biltmore.
Biltmore, okay.
It's on the roof.
Let's see. Hill
Yeah,
Road.
that one, I don't have any problems with that one at all.
right there, Channel Drive.
Canal Drive, that's it? Okay.
Yeah.
So all we're gonna see here will be the cable box, correct? Everything else should be
Yeah.
mounted lower.
That's what we see, is just that little thing above the roof.
All you see is the collector actually, and so we would keep that Pebble Beach. You've kind of got a top part of a mounting bracket, it looks like, but everything else is tucked away.
Anybody got any problems with this?
Pebble Beach is fine, yeah.
Collector Pebble Beach. And then there is no conduit, there is no collector, so, I mean, no enclosure. Okay, next, did you get that, Willow and Kimberly? Okay.
Got it.
Next, thank you. Next, please.
No, I'm looking for Jamison and I'm not seeing it.
South. Is it La Paz?
It's Lavareda Road. That one was changed.
Oh, here it is. Okay. Let's see. And what is Sims? That one's out of order.
You watched your today? Get some things done, okay? Or no?
Okay, so this is an existing frontier pole on St. Jameson near San Isidro. And we would just be keeping the existing pole, only adding the panel, the enclosure, and the collector to the top of the pole. If you go to the next visual, Sim, it shows it a little bit better. So, yep, that's what we've got.
Okay, comments, please. Are we okay with this?
Let's paint the enclosure
Okay, so what color? Brown?
brown.
Yeah,
Brown?
let it disappear on that big pole. Looks like too much of the utility box.
And do we have conduit on this, Adam?
No conduit.
Okay, no way, we don't have to feed wires up to it or anything?
There's a small, let's see, there's small tubing. Well, yeah, you're right. From the collector to the battery box, there is a small wire.
Brown.
Brown.
So brown, and then the actual radio is going to be that same gray. Is that correct, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on this, please? Okay, next, please.
Real quick, is Pebble Beach and gray, are those the same thing?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. Excellent question.
This site is on San Leandro near the Ennisbrook development. This is Water District property. We're proposing a new wood pole with collector at the top, and we're using on-site power. So we have conduit, which can be painted brown, and the collector, which would be gray.
Any comment besides that?
So you have power there, you don't need the box?
Correct.
That's right. There's a
Okay.
pump there.
Yeah,
So
so Pebble Gray is fine.
conduit brown to match the pole and pebble gray. Any other comments were acceptable?
Correct.
This is okay, right? Everybody? Okay, next, please.
Okay, this site is at the Burnham Wood Maintenance Facility. Similar to the last site, there's no enclosure, no solar panel, we have on-site power. So it is a wood pole with conduit running up to the top, which can be painted brown, and then the collector would be gray or Pebble Beach.
Is that acceptable to everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
And I concur. Next, please.
This visual simulation is a little bit tough because it's hidden behind the tree, but we have an existing frontier pole. We are adding all of the equipment at the top. So you have solar panel, you have the enclosure, which can be brown to match the pole. We have a small wire from the enclosure to the radio, which can be brown as well. And then you have the collector, which would be gray.
This is Tollus at Lilac. It was not introduced, but that's where we are.
Yes.
Is everybody okay with what Adam said?
Yes,
Yeah,
this one's
pretty
well-
hidden anyway.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, next.
Looking for the park. Oh, there it is.
David, you're doing a remarkable job.
I know, it's
Good
so
job, David.
amazing.
Jinx it, John, don't jinx it.
I cannot understand how you can do this, Dave. It's so, I mean,
Okay.
so fabulous.
We're getting close. So this is the last site we visited today at 915 Park Lane.
Oh.
Again, a district-owned property. We have a reservoir on the site. This proposed pole is located in the northern portion of the site, and it would be a new wood pole with a solar panel mounting equipment, which would be stainless, a battery enclosure, which could be brown to match the pole, and a collector, which would be the Pebble Beach gray. And we did look into the property setback limitations, and this is an interior lot that does not have a road fronting it. So we do have the ability to move this pole closer to the property limits in order to shield it from the neighbors. So the plan would be to relocate it about 20 to 30 feet to the west or left in the photo to hide it in the trees.
That'd be great.
That's it. That's perfect.
Okay, so Willow, we want to get this thing located as close to the northwest corner of the property that we can get. And it sounds like brown pole, brown conduit, brown box, pebble gray collector, and normal solar panel. Is that correct, everybody?
Yes.
Okay, good. Next. Thank you for checking into that.
Isn't that it, or did we skip one in the beginning?
That's it. The only one that really resolves the one in Hot Springs. See if that can change.
There's one on Palo Grande.
Palo Grande.
That's the one we skipped.
Down at the bottom.
We jumped that one, yeah.
Down at the bottom.
Down at the bottom, Dave. Yeah, Power Grande.
That's
There.
it.
Okay, this
Okay.
last site is located in the 600 block of Palo Grande Lane. This would be a new pole. We could not find any frontier poles in this area to co-locate on. New 30-foot pole with solar panel and battery enclosure, which could be painted brown to match the pole, as well as the collector, which could be Pebble Beach gray at the top. We also, on the site visit, had some recommendations from the board members to move this pole to the north to the property corner of 605 Palo Grande. We did look into this, and it's a little bit challenging to see in the visual sim, but there's a cypress tree that would probably block a good amount of the sun. If we did remove that cypress tree, we would be required to obtain a permit and replace in kind that cypress somewhere else in the county, as well as water it for 5 to 10 years and track its progress, which would be challenging. And we did look into also trimming back the ficus that's to the north. That is a mature specimen tree, and as such, if we trim back more than 10%, which I think we would need to do, that requires a permit. And if there's nesting birds in the trees, that could cause further delays. So the district is requesting to keep the pole in its current location.
Are there comments from members of the board, please?
Yeah, I think putting that pole there really impacts that property. I don't know that I can support that.
I just don't like its location right in the center, right next to the palm tree. I think if we can move it further north, it's much more visually accepting to the neighborhood. I agree.
And so do I. Claire?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I understand the water district's reluctance to actually get involved, but I'm not up for this pole. I think it does need to be moved to not where the ficus is, but where the dying, that tree is, it's going to die really soon. That cypress tree, it's on its way out, and so I would propose, rather than taking it down, actually move the pole kind of almost right next to it, and then you guys don't have to comply with getting rid of it. Just leave it where it is, but move the pole next to it. Yeah.
I have a question for Sam and or Claire. If a tree is in poor health and if an arborist determines that the tree is in poor health, its removal trigger the requirement that Adam is representing?
No.
I don't know that.
I do not think so. I think,
I don't think so.
Is the property in the coastal zone?
No.
It's up on the Par Grande, up on the.
Is it got an environmentally sensitive habitat overlay? It's got a creek
No.
nearby?
No.
Would not
I don't think
require a permit to remove the tree.
So there you go, Adam. So I think you can take that tree, push that pole as we hoped, as far as close to that ficus and do a 10% cut, whatever that is, snug it into that ficus that is, and you have a much less visually imposing vertical element along Para Grande, and it would make that site, as Dave said, much more desirable to look at than with, the big pole on the bottom left corner, another in the middle. So I would move it as far and close as you can to make the requirements of the 10% or less, and remove that cypress and make some room up there.
I concur exactly.
I
Anybody
agree.
else? Okay, so I just want to make sure we've covered all our bases. Is there anybody on this Zoom call that would like to address the board on any one or all of the installations that we've just looked at for the last 20 minutes or so?
I have
Anybody?
no one, John.
Okay, very good. I'm going to close public comment. I just want to make sure we don't get tagged for that. So it seems to me that you have very positive comments and support on 8 of the 10. We want this one, I think, is relatively easy. I think it's just you have to put it together. And the other one on hot springs, I think you need to do some more work. So would others concur with that?
Would we suggest to them that this one, if it can be moved where we had just discussed, that it would be a brown box and brown conduit, and the rest would be gray and or stainless?
Yes, I think so.
So they could carry their ball all the way to the finish line with maybe one more review based on all these things being kind of projected to their board or whoever else needs to make the decision.
I think the only thing we need to do is to see a site plan, just to, really get that locked in there on this. But the other one on hot springs, I think that's going to take some effort.
Chair,
Okay.
if I
Yes.
could,
Yes, please.
I'm very confident that we can move the collector to the frontier pole on the south side of Montecito Creek for the Hot Springs Road site. Frontier has been very open to us putting our collectors on these poles. That pole is basically the same as the one on the north side. We just have to replace it with a taller one. So it's just a matter of putting the plans together, but I'm confident they'll let us do it.
Okay, let's ask a question about that. I was hoping, my question and my assessment when I was out there is, I wanted to get that thing farther north and bury it under the trees that are there, visually bury it under the trees. And so that as we're driving up there now, it's going to be up against the sky. What I'm trying to do is to get it up against foliage. If you're going to put in a brand new pole, can you put in a brand new pole somewhere else that would get that thing buried as much as possible?
Well, I think we're trying to say replace it in kind. We don't want to add poles. We've already got one that they could use, just make it a little taller. What you're suggesting, I think, John, is making 2 poles. That pole would stay and another pole would go up somewhere else.
I'm not convinced, Sam, that the pole that you were looking at when you were there is going to not also have a very visible visual footprint up in the sky. I'm trying to get rid of that.
So maybe that's what they need to prove to us with that location versus maybe what you're exploring anew.
I'm okay with that if they want to try proving that, but I would like to hear from other members of the board, though, to see if people concur with me or not.
Could the water district, I'm sorry, I just don't remember what your name is. Can you go back to the simulations that were in the big book that you're using? I mean, I want to just go back to, yeah, let's go back to look and see what we're talking about here.
Which address was that one? again?
Hot Springs, that was Hot Springs.
Lower, right there.
Yeah, let's go back to, no, that's not it. Oh, here.
You see, that's what scares the heck out of me. That thing, this is a busy road. Everybody's gonna see it. If it could get moved farther north, I think it can get buried up in that
oak tree that's
in that tree coverage.
Is it north?
I
or
don't think
south?
so. North, south, what we found some tree coverage. North, you have to go all the way to that eucalyptus, and I think it's going to stick out up there. Even worse, it's going to take away from that clean, beautiful tree.
I also think as you move north, you're impacting the immediate neighbors more. That location to the south was in kind of a no man's land around that creek where it really isn't impacting a neighbor.
Kind of close to Casa Dorinda, and the big oak trees were on the south side of the creek right there. It seemed to tuck itself in better.
Could you provide us with 1 or 2 visual simulations, or is that asking too much?
Absolutely. Anything for you guys.
Anything for an approval.
Right on, Adam. That's the way to get. That's the way to get to us.
Okay, I think if we have 2 visual simulations plus this one, I think we'll be able to find something that works there. That's my guess. Okay, what do you want to do next, Adam? I asked you in the car whether or not you could accept 7, 8, 9 approvals without all 10. Would you be able to deal with that? Willow, I don't know if you can separate this out. That's the next question. Or do you want to wait for all of this to come through and then flip the switch once? Adam.
For me, I would prefer to have permits in hand or approvals in hand. So if we need to break it up, that's okay.
So the way I'm doing it is writing staff reports for the coastal ones and then separate staff reports for the inland Montecito ones. So I was trying to package them all together so it's not like a ton of staff reports because I have to write them, like I'm already writing 4.
Seems like the two that we're talking about are inland, aren't they, Willow? This one at Hot Springs and maybe the one on Par Grande, or is this one close enough?
Those are both inland.
Are you going to Planning Commission?
We are not.
No, these are director level.
I don't care, Adam. You know, this is your project, not mine.
Willow?
Would it help the water district to have 8? Because it sounds like we're good with 8.
You kind of want a bird in hand instead
Or
of
do you
2
want all 10?
later.
It's up to you. You tell us.
I would rather split it and take the ones that are approved and get them ready for construction.
Is that okay with you, Willow, or is that asking too much of you?
Willow, do we have 2 case numbers, a coastal case number and a land use permit case number?
Yeah, it's under, 2 case numbers for Montecito.
We can't split it. We can't have multiple cases in different positions under one land use permit number or one coastal development permit number. All the coastal development permits could be, all the ones in the coastal zone could be taken action under the coastal development permit, and all the ones in the inland, but I don't think we can split them out without creating multiple different zoning cases.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, so Adam,
work with your planner.
No, it's very clear. So Willow will be able to go through and work with the director's hearing. I don't know if she's it or if there's somebody else that does that. For the coastal, you can have those, okay? And at least from our point of view, you can. And then I guess you come back whenever Willow is ready to put you back on the agenda. And Sharon, how's the agenda looking these days?
Oh, we're going almost into September. But people fall off. We'll get them back on.
Yeah,
Okay.
from the water district side, we're trying to get this system live in October, so the sooner the better.
Got it.
Okay, so let me see what you are on for today. Preliminary final, so we do require a motion. We have two case numbers though, Willow, so we could have preliminary final for coastal and preliminary with restudy for the others, for the. Yes, no, Willow, turn yourself on, please.
I would defer to Kimberly for this one.
Yes, you can take action on the coastal development permit, and you can take action on the land use permit separately.
Okay, so is there anybody that would like to make a motion for preliminary final as discussed today with the colors and locations for the coastal poles installations? Anybody?
I would make that motion, but I would not know which ones we were including. Do we need to go down and number them, John, like on the?
I think Willow knows what they are. Is that acceptable, Willow, or do you need us to go through and try to figure it out?
I know which ones they are. Thank you.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
So is there a motion and a second?
So I made the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
So this is what we're doing, John, is we're making a motion for the coastal
Correct.
part of the project, right?
Yes, correct. Correct.
Okay.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Don, you're on mute.
Mr. Chair,
Okay.
I would make a recommendation that we utilize the Board of Architectural Review case number as listed for the coastal sites, and that we assign a new BAR case number for the inland sites. It will keep things a lot clearer because of the appeal periods. We don't want people to appeal half of a project.
You do what you need to do.
Kimberly, if we're
Yes.
changing VAR numbers, I might have to renotice all of that.
We may have to renotice the
That's
inland.
Hundreds.
The
Okay,
least complex way to do this is to take action on all or none.
yes, let's do that. So do I have a motion to negate our last motion, please?
Let's do that. I'll make a motion to take away the last motion.
And Claire? I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so you have nothing. Good job, Adam.
That's not our fault, Adam.
Yeah. Okay, so as soon as you can get back, give us the visual simulations, give us the exact locations and site plan, and we'll try to figure it out.
Can we, hey, John, can we give him a preliminary?
I don't,
With the recommendations for the two and everything else is looking good? Can we at least give him something?
I don't want to give anything on Hot Springs. I don't know if it's going to move south or move
Para
north.
Grande and Hot Springs, so not even preliminary with our comments.
He knows what the comments are, but
Okay.
I'm good with everything except Hot Springs, but I don't know if it's going to move south or if it's going to move north or stay where it is. And I don't want to get that confused with an approval.
So the comments are just what they were, moving
Yep.
or get back on.
So Sam, was that, did I hear you just make a motion to continue this item to a
Yeah.
future meeting?
To as soon as possible.
And I will second that. And we, 1, 2, 3, I need either Claire or Don attending this meeting. I do not have quorum. Claire, Don, please.
Where's Dave?
I'm here.
1, 2, 3. 1,
Dave?
2, 3. I need Claire or Don. There he is. Okay. So there's a motion for continuance. Is there, all those in favor, please?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? And is there any further business at the board? Thank you, Willow and Kimberly, for putting up with this. And always thank you, Dave, for such a great job you've done. Is there a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a
I
motion.
made that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you all.
Good
Excellent
job.
Aye.
Good job, John.
Thanks,
Thank
John,
you.
for doing the share.
Yes, thank you, John.
Good job, Dave.
Thanks. Good night,
Dave,
everyone.
thank you.
See you guys in 2 weeks. Thanks, Kimberly and Willow.
Our pleasure.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Sharon.
Bye.